Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
This morning, good morning. And hundreds of anti-Semitic responses would immediately fill my social media. Turns out I've seen many times an image of myself in a bikini with the flag of Israel.
I got to put that on the sound drop. I got to put that on the sound drop.
Yeah. Image of myself
that's really going to the intro.
Yeah, that should be in the intro, actually. Yeah.
Myself in a bikini with the flag of Israel.
We'll get Nick to work that in.
Yeah, we got to work that into the intro somehow, right? Where is it?
Seen many times an image of my. Turns out I've seen many times an image of myself in a bikini with the flag of Israel.
I mean, that would be pretty good for the opening.
We'll be pretty good. We'll be pretty good. We should put it on the sound drop too, on the soundboard. I think that would work very well there. That was a great piece of video over the last couple of days. No doubt about that, for sure. Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Thursday midday edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular, of course.
Hello.
How is everybody doing today? Got a lot going on today. The weeks are long and full of news now. We were adding stuff right until
Days
the
are
start
long and full of terror.
That's right. Right until the start of showtime, we were adding stuff today. So thanks everybody very much for being here. Got a great crowd in here so far. 827 strong to start things off in the YouTube room. 257 strong over in the Rumble chat. Everybody please smash that like button. Let's get a crowd in here for the early show. Thanks everybody very much once again for being here as always. Over on my music channel today, I dropped a review of the new Morrissey album, the new Morrissey album at youtube.com/shufflepod. So go and check that out.
Donald
Morrissey.
Trump put it in my mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very acerbic, toxic, contrarian Morrissey. Russell's you're kind of like a Jewish Morrissey, a Jewish non-racist Morrissey,
How so?
Well, you like to mix it up with people. You like to prod people. You like to fight with people. You like to needle people, like he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have base politics, and he doesn't. But you kind of have the similar kind of way about you.
Pugnacious.
You're pugnacious, exactly. Pugnacious and scrappy. I'm kind of as misanthropic as he is. I mean, that guy literally. He prefers animals to humans. I mean, he really does not like people.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And, my theory about Morrissey is that, his misanthropy really worked on the Queen is Dead album because all of that toxicity was directed at the monarchy, which, who doesn't want to take the piss out of the monarchy? So, that was really good. But then most of the other stuff is just like, kind of off-putting.
I was in college when he was at his peak.
Well, yeah.
So you had everybody with their fucking meat is murder shirts and posters.
Yeah.
and I had what my one of my suite mates, like, you know, you had your rooms adjoined in a suite, right? So one of the suite mates, he wasn't in my room, but he was in my suite. He was a big Morrissey fan, and he goes, "Meat is murder, man." I said, "Motherfucker, what do you think your shoes are made out of? What do you think? This is a leather, motherfuckers."
Well, you went to
You're
college
talking
early,
meat is
right? Because you
murder.
were born in '69, so you went to college early, which was right around the peak of the Smiths. Because "Meat Is Murder," that album was '85. So were you in college at that point, or you were right after? Or whatever?
No. I was in high school, but it was still like
In the zeitgeist.
in the zeitgeist, exactly. Because Morrissey was in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. Well, he came out with he went right from the Smiths into the solo career. He didn't really take any time to disappear. So yeah, he's been a presence. He's been a presence. So go check that out if you're so inclined. And
I mean, to me, that kind of music, it was always that was always the sound of the Burbs to me. That was always the music of the kids from the other part of town.
Well, the Smiths is definitely, like, even to this day, it's like hipster music, basically. Like, you walk into a coffee shop in Williamsburg, it's almost obligatory that at least one of the baristas has a Smiths t-shirt on, you know. So it's definitely that kind of thing. But go check it out if you're so inclined. All right, let's get started. Let's get started with the news today. All right, folks, we got kind of an eclectic mix. You know, Thursdays we kind of like to go as light as we can in terms of the mood. It's our Friday, you know, weekend's coming up. Of course, it's wartime, so we can't be too light, but we kind of always try and make room for the funniest segment we find. You know, we don't want to cut the funny segments on Thursday. And so luckily today we found a great one. Trump says white South Africans are persecuted. Some are returning to a better life. They're going back. They're going back to South Africa. That's right. That's right. Andrew Veitch left South Africa. That sounds like an authentic African name, Andrew Veitch. Left South Africa after being held up at gunpoint in his car.
Zulu name.
Yeah, right, exactly. But now he feels there are greater threats in the United States, he said, citing mass shootings in public places as well as violence by U.S. immigration officers. Time to go back home. People are being shot in broad daylight. American citizens are being shot and killed, said the 53-year-old who moved to California in 2003. So this isn't one of the recent refugees. This is a guy who left a long time ago. I don't want to live in a place like this. Veitch plans to return to South Africa this year, one of thousands of white South Africans coming back, despite Trump's statements that the white minority is being persecuted by the country's black majority government. Pretoria says there's no evidence of discrimination or persecution against whites. Many have left since the end of white minority rule in 1994, some citing crime and difficulty getting jobs, but many are also returning. Veitch is among 12,000 people who have checked their citizenship status in an online portal launched by the government in November after the overturning of a 1995 law that stripped citizenship from some South Africans who left. They represent a fraction of the South Africans abroad. The latest official statistics on returnees from 2022 show that almost 15,000 white South Africans returned that year. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber said 1,000 people had reclaimed their citizenship, a number he expected to grow significantly as the program takes off. Quote, there's definitely a sense of optimism for South Africans abroad, says Schreiber, part of the white-led Democratic Alliance Party that has ruled in coalition with the African National Congress, the ANC, as it's commonly referred to, of course, since 2024. He is a returnee himself, having spent time in the U.S. and Germany before coming home in 2016. Crime and joblessness are major issues in South Africa, but the unemployment rate is 35% for black people compared with 8% for whites, according to the latest figures from the National Statistics Agency, Stats SA.
That is some genocide.
Yeah, that's a genocide.
Some genocide.
Yeah. Police statistics released last year showed that even farm murders, which Trump has focused on, killed more black people than whites. Yeah, that's all true. Reuters had found that photos and videos Trump has presented on the matter were taken out of context or misrepresented. Yeah, remember, I should have grabbed that. I thought I did. Remember when he held up the picture and it was a picture from the Congo, not from South Africa? Yeah. Still, Stats SA estimated a net outward flow of 500,000 whites since 2001, including 95,000 from 2021 to 2026. There is no regular data on returnees, but a Stats SA analysis showed that 28,000 South Africans returned in 2022, 52.9%, or some 14,800 of whom were white. Anton van Heerden, CEO of employment agency DNA Employer of Record, said inquiries from white South Africans seeking to return had jumped 70% in the past 6 months. Angel Jones, CEO of Johannesburg-based recruitment firm Homecoming X, reported a roughly 30% rise in inquiries since 2024. Okay, so Reuters put out a video of one such case. They did a profile on a woman who was returning to South Africa. So let's take a look.
Naomi Sapphire was born in South Africa
Naomi
and lived
Sapphire.
for 2 decades in the United States. She came back home for a holiday and realized how much she missed this place.
You cannot dictate what makes your heart happy. So you leave and then you come back because ultimately this is home.
Last year, Sapphire left North Carolina for a seaside town in South Africa's...
Look at that town. That reminds you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Gaza City. You know, I look at that and I say, you know, Gaza City's been genocided, and so is this place. That looks just like Gaza to me. Yeah,
it does. It does. I don't even. Where are the hospitals? They must have destroyed them all.
Yeah, yeah. Look at that.
I don't see a single hospital.
Just absolutely tragic to think of what this once was. You know, to think of what once went on here. You know, to think that there were once these seaside mansions here with beautiful views of the coast and lush greenery and white sandy beaches. To think that all that used to be here at one time. Just amazing. Just a heartbreaking photograph.
Western Cape. Now, she says her 3 children spend
I don't
more
even
time
know
outdoors.
if I can watch this.
Health insurance is affordable, and she prefers the schools. She's among thousands of white South Africans coming back from abroad, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's statements that South Africa's white minority is being persecuted by the country's black majority government.
Terrible things are happening in
Look at that guy trying to escape into
the Trump
the sea on
administration
the
is
board.
ramping up its new refugee program for white South Africans,
Look at the
focusing on
desperation.
Afrikaners, the descendants of Dutch settlers, such as Sapphire and her family. About 3,500 South Africans have entered the United States as refugees since the program started in May 2025. Pretoria says there is no evidence of discrimination or persecution against whites. Many white South Africans and Afrikaners have welcomed Trump's support, but insisted they nevertheless want to remain in their country. And others who left decades ago are now returning. Anton van Heerden is an employment agent who has been trying to help returnees keep their jobs abroad by shifting to remote work.
You know, such bravery to return back to South Africa, given the conditions there. I mean, we've seen some of the scenes here. That's determination. This is how you know that these people belong on this land. You know, they won't give up. They won't give up. You know, they fled for safety, but now they're coming back in the midst of a genocide. They're coming back and they're saying, you know what? If we're going to die, we're going to die on our land. It's really
They're
just
true.
extraordinary.
They're FWA's foundational white Africans.
Yeah, that's right. Foundational white Africans. That's right. Now, there was, of course, some cope here. Conscious Carajal says, exposing the Afrikaner refugees are returning hoax. So, yeah, some X accounts tried to make it seem like this article misrepresented something. This week, many mainstream media outlets and thousands of social media commentators, both domestically and abroad, pushed the sensational story that many white refugees are allegedly returning to South Africa from the USA. Others pulled out every trick in the book to create that false impression to avoid being caught outright lying. However, all it took was a basic level of investigation to determine this claim to be a total fabrication. Firstly, the original Reuters article that spawned this false claim is based on the testimony of only 3 returning white expats. Well, no, it's not. They cited numbers there. They said in 2022, almost 15,000 white South Africans returned. They said in the last 6 months, applications for re-entry among white South Africans were up by 70%. So I don't know what you mean this is based on the testimony of 3 white expats. No, they cited far more data than that. One who left for the U.S. in 2003, blah, blah, blah. You get the picture here. And yes, they cited these numbers here. 2022, 14,800 of whom were white. South Africans seeking to return, 70% increase in the past 6 months, specifically among white South Africans who are working with employment agencies so that they can find work amidst this genocide. So the Reuters article did not claim that the people who fled under Trump's program are going back. They just made the point that, hey, you know what? If there's a genocide of white people going on there, it's kind of strange that there's this marked increase in white South Africans who decide, you know what? We'll take our chances with the white genocide because America's an even bigger shithole. So that's a funny story. We felt we had to do that one.
Yeah. All right. So for one thing here, South Africa, false claims of white genocide largely driven by the deeply fanatically racist world's richest man who seems to have bought a social media platform expressly to get white losers apoplectic about fake genocides by tweeting about it 25 times a day. I said this on my video that I did in Hue, and it is true. I'm not just saying this. America is the biggest shithole I have ever been to. It is not that South Africa, I'm sure it has its problems. Less problems for white people than black people, ironically, as you can see from those statistics, as you can see from the land ownership statistics, as anyone who is not a fucking drooling moron could have figured out if they had just taken a second to look at, oh, really? They didn't actually do land reform after the end of the fall of the de Klerk government? What is it? They own 80% of the land?
Whites still own over 70% of the land, and the white poverty rate is something like 50 times less. The white poverty rate's between like 1% and 2%. And the black poverty rate is about 50%.
Yeah. So it is not that this country doesn't have its problems, but America is a shithole in ways that Americans mostly just don't even understand because they haven't really spent time outside of it, and they're so deeply propagandized. They really live in a hallucination that is created for them by the education system, the media, and now social media. They just live in a hall of mirrors thinking things are real that are not. You go any place else, the quality of life, the happiness, the community, the family, it's better. Every place else I've been. Does that mean no place is worse than the United States? Sure, you got conflict zones, you got places with famines. Of course, there are worse places. But as places with stable, functioning states, not in the midst of a famine or a civil war go, you'd be hard-pressed to find a bigger shithole than the United States. So that is what's happening. South Africans are saying, yo, we have so many problems here, and I'm sure they do. And they go to America and they say, I'll take those problems in a second. Now, I retweeted that article with a little of my own commentary. And this particular subject, there are a few others, really bring out the scum. It really brings out the real fucking losers. I don't care what you are, what identity it is. I have the same view. If you are invested in your identity, whether it's your queer identity, your black identity, your white identity, if you're that wrapped up in your identity, if you lead with that, if that's really something you're obsessed with, you probably don't have a lot of confidence in yourself. To me, that's just sad. It's just sad. It doesn't matter what kind of identity it is. You know, people are like, queer. I'm queer. I'm like, well, you must have nothing going on. You must have absolutely nothing going on. Like, I can't imagine wanting to be known for how I like to get my rocks off, or what by an accident of birth my racial ancestry is. Now, don't take it the wrong way. I'm not saying you can't address certain issues that you might have if you have a certain identity in society. I'm talking about people who obsessively lead with this particular characteristic. Well, I mean, if you liked yourself, you probably wouldn't do that. I think it shows you really don't have any confidence that you have anything else to recommend you. And of course, that carries over to these white people who are so susceptible to these kinds of claims of white genocide and white identity. The kinds of comments I was getting: the white Christians are rising. Yeah. Are you rising? Are you rising?
Exactly, yeah.
Tell me how you're rising.
Yeah, you're
okay,
rising.
So you got your president.
Ascendant force.
Do you? Yeah. Do you have $1 more in your bank account than you did last year? Has your job situation improved? Your housing, your car, anything improved? Anything improved? That's the purpose of it, man. To keep these people from kicking out the fence and turning their anger on the ruling class.
You know, in South Africa, not to say no white people have problems in South Africa, but we rattled off some of the figures there, and it is kind of startling. I mean, you look at a town, we did a segment where there's overhead shot of this beautiful expanse of green land, and then you have these tiny little huts with like steel roofs huddled in this small chunk of land here, and you're thinking, well, why are these people living like this amidst all this beautiful land? Like, they have all this space. Why are all these houses bunched up together and in such horrible shape? Well, the answer is because the black people live in those little huts, and all that beautiful land surround them is white-owned land that they can't build on. So that's why. Exactly. So it's still like economically, the legacy of apartheid is still very much alive and well there. Yeah, in such disparate numbers, and yet there's a white genocide. Yeah. No. And when I found that out, and I only found that out because this story came up, I had always just kind of assumed they did land reform when the apartheid government fell. Like, it never occurred to me they just left that in place. Jesus Christ. If I'm a white person in South Africa, you know what I'm doing? I'm keeping my head down. Yeah. Because it's kind of unbelievable that they haven't done what you claim they did. Right. Don't give them ideas, because most of the rest of us wouldn't really blame them if they came and kicked you off your land and took it and redistributed it the way it should be. I'm shocked the way they claim it. Do that. I mean, they make all these false claims about the land reform, about how there's involuntary seizures. There has not been 1 acre of involuntary seizure. There should be. We have involuntary seizure here. It's called eminent domain. So, like, the government can do to any of us what you claim is being done to the white South Africans, and it's not. There has not been 1 acre of land. That's how they built Central Park. So they built Central Park. There was actually an ex-slave community there. What was it called? Seneca Village. They actually went to the Supreme Court to try to stop Central Park from being built. And, of course, they lost under eminent domain. Right. All right. Let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants here. Got some super chats over there, I see. We do indeed. Britsman, let me get a flamin' McLindsey burger meal, extra sassy sauce. Hold the nuts with a pile of cheese sticks on the side and a fruit punch to drink. Thank you. Got sick just reading that. Me shoot ski super sticker. Thank you. Let me tell you, one way I can see how much less shit they have in the food here is that I'm not like fucking 300 pounds. Right. Because, you want to try everything, right? You're here, you're going to try the food. So I'm eating probably double the amount of food I would normally eat at home. And I definitely put on like 3 to 5 pounds. I didn't put on like 15 pounds. Right. Now, if I ate like that with what we put in our food, forget about it. Worst skill. Morrissey once said gay men never start wars. Clearly not familiar with Senator Graham. And I mean, Senator Graham aside, that's an incredibly ignorant statement if he said that. Was he never heard of Alexander? Yeah. Smitty, Brooklyn. U.S. has the lowest level of social cohesion I've ever experienced in all my travels. Yeah, exactly. If Americans only get a chance to see what's happening beyond the Iron Curtain. Dude,
look how many people are on psychotropic medication. That's why. That is why. People need social connection to be healthy. They're coming up with all of these reasons, all these magazine articles, why this generation has anxiety, because they're living in a fucking sick, toxic culture where they're emotionally isolated. That's why. It's really not that complicated. Wef Dogs. Gotta blow this up.
Thanks, Wef Dog.
Wef Dog. Really digging the travel vids from Russ. I've thought about doing something similar as I go to Europe every year for heavy metal festivals and gigs. That would be an awesome channel. Main thing that stops me from doing a vlog is I hate the sound of my own voice.
Now, you'll get over it. You know, nobody else hates the sound of you. People who... Yeah, thank you for the donation. You know, people who hate the sound of their own voice, just understand that's all in your head. Nobody else really hates the sound of your voice.
Right.
It's just because you sound different out here than you do between your own ears, you know. But yeah, you get used to it. I used to hate the sound of my own voice. And then after editing like 3 episodes, I got used to it, you know.
Yeah, you get used to it. The only thing I will say sucks if you do like really make a go of it, like you really want to keep it going. It's not just like a glorified scrapbook, like you're really trying to make a channel. You got to film everything, and you don't always want to do that.
Right.
Like, you know, you have to be like, oh, well, that would be a good shot in a way that you just wouldn't if you didn't have that to think about.
Right.
It can kind of take you out of the moment, is what I'm saying. Like, are you having an experience or you're collecting an experience? So lesbian dance theorist, our old friend. What if I'm 100-yarder? You can tell I'm gay from the 100 yards away. I don't know. Can we?
It's harder with lesbians than with gay men, I find.
Actually, for me, it's the opposite. I've long said this. My lesbian dar is almost flawless. My gaydar is terrible.
Oh, see? Well, I'm the opposite way.
It's like
see?
the opposite.
It's the yin and the yin and the yang. Yeah.
I can always spot a clam licker. Always.
Always.
Chris. I'm telling you, I have an instinct for it. Christina Suozo. Just wanted to drop in and say hi while the world is burning. Thank you, Christina. Thank you. And there's a prayer bell, not a cowbell, a prayer bell, because we're all flying on a wing and a prayer at this point, right?
That's right. Nocturnal Human. I'm watching Ritter on Jimmy's show. Thinks Putin can convince Iran into a peace deal, as if Israel would ever accept peace. There's something I disagree with him on. Here's $10 for you, Russell. Thank you, Nocturnal Human.
Thank you.
Nocturnal Human. That Alex Jones interview with Jimmy was great. My favorite part was when Alex said Candace Owens is gone. Yeah, Alex got very defensive at that part. You know, Jimmy was like very calm and just kept bringing it up, which I thought was well done. And yeah, Alex was just very frantically just making a mockery of it, as if to say, yeah, okay, you're right. You know, I did it. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, the problem with Alex Jones is, and it, not just as it pertains to like that part of the conversation, but what really came through was, you know, Jimmy's saying, you know, Trump is a fraud. He's the biggest electoral fraud in my lifetime. And Alex Jones, even though he has, to his credit, you know, come out against this war and all that, he has to, I feel like, work backwards from the premise that really Donald Trump came onto the political scene as a good faith, well-intentioned actor who was like intent on bringing down the deep state and returning power to the people. And yeah, they got their hooks in him and they got their digs in against him, but he got his digs in against them in some ways. Like, he still works backwards from this premise that Trump is David in a David versus Goliath battle against the deep state, which is obviously the wrong premise. Obviously, Donald Trump has been a stooge for Israel this entire time. And as far as everything else goes and everyone else goes in his orbit, he treated them the way he's treated everybody else in his orbit, which is just bullshit them, tell them whatever you think they want to hear to get them to buy into you, and then shiv them in the side the first chance you get. Like, he's clearly just an unprincipled, incurious liar. And I don't think Alex Jones will ever really admit that. He has to.
Well, he can't.
Continue
He kind
to
of
work
can't.
backwards from the premise that no, he was trying. Oh, George, update from George. Hey guys, traveling to see the folks. Haifa got hit hard yesterday. At the worst point, I checked the alerts. There were 106 active alerts around the country. Tel Aviv seems to be getting the worst of it. Thank you, George. Be in touch. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Is anyone playing Boom Boom Tel Aviv over there?
Yeah, is anybody playing those songs? Be safe. Hope your mom is safe too.
Nah,
Hardly
stay
daylight.
safe, man. Why don't you get the fuck out of there? I mean, I know it's not easy right now, but
never forget.
Like a place to be.
Never forget, the U.S. and Israel have committed the ultimate war crime, crimes against peace, planning, initiating, or waging aggressive war. Both countries on par with Nazi Germany's crimes. Well, especially now the military found, as we all expected, that it was indeed a U.S. strike that hit the school in Iran, which I think we'll get to later. All right, we will move right on along here. All right, folks, now we got the second funniest segment of the day. So Donald Trump went to Kentucky last night. Good old Kentucky to rally for Ed Gulrine, who is the endorsed candidate to hopefully, in Donald Trump's mind, replace Thomas Massie. Primary is in a couple of months. Donald Trump decided he would go to Kentucky to rally support. And here are some interviews with the last remaining MAGA diehards. Let's take a look at the kind of people who are still driving around to Trump rallies in full MAGA apparel.
Massie supporters here. Anyone? All right, silence, deafening silence. And sir, why is that? Why are there no Thomas Massie supporters here for Donald Trump?
I can't speak for this area, but
you're in his district.
Right. Well, I'm 4 hours from here. I'm in Western Kentucky.
So that means he's not able to vote in this election. See, a lot of the people who were here, they made a big deal. They bragged about how people drove from hours away. Well, that's kind of not the point. The point is you want people in that district to come out. But yeah, imagine still driving 4 hours to watch Donald Trump. Wow.
Thomas Massie, to me, has been a formidable person in the Trump administration, but he has a tendency to flip-flop on some issues. And
he does vote with the president about 90% of the time, though. Let me ask you, sir, the war...
Right, so Massie didn't flip-flop on the issues. Trump flip-flopped on the issues. Massie's consistent. Trump is the one who flip-flopped there.
Iran, is this going to help the president if he can get out of...
Now we're going to learn what they think about the war in Iran.
Sir, the war in Iran, is this going to help the president if he can get out of it in the next couple of weeks? Or could this potentially hurt him heading into the midterms?
I think it should help. It doesn't last too long. We don't want it to last too long, but it's something that needs to be done for 47 years.
It need to be done for
boots on the ground, does that concern you, sir?
Yes, sir. I've got a grandson in Jordan at this particular time, and it does concern you. But at the same time, I'm like Danny, I do feel like it's needed to be done for a long time.
Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
He said, but Granddaddy, I thought you hated the Jews. And I'm like, no, they say on TV we need to fight for them Jews. So yeah, had to be done. Sorry, boy.
That's what Pastor Knox said we had to do, and you know that's your real daddy, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. See, remember, like, in 2016 and even in 2020, how, we used to kind of have disdain for the commentators who went out to make a fool out of Trump supporters. And that's not what these guys are about. This is Newsmax. Like, this guy's trying to be friendly, trying to make them look good. But we always used to be like, what are you punching down at these people for? Like, it's not really funny. And part of the reason why that was never funny is because, as obviously dysfunctional as these people are, they had positioned themselves as the anti-war people next to Hillary Clinton's saber-rattling with Russia. So it's like you're punching down. But I'm sorry, fellas. Like, if you're going to support the Iran war, you're fair game for this kind of mockery. We get to make fun of how stupid you are because now you're the warmongers. Now you're the ones being like, hey, it had to be done 4 to 7 years. We should have done this 10 years ago when Donald Trump said he won't go and do it. And we all liked it when he said it then. Now he said the opposite. I guess we like that now. That's what the man on TV said. Yeah,
That's what I was saying to the other people on the bus. There weren't too many of them because it was a short bus. We came out with a whole fleet of short buses, so we had to have more buses because they were all the short ones. Now the kids can't get to school today. You know, the ones with the football helmets. They had to stay home today because we took all the short buses here.
Yeah, this is really what a bunch of winners here. So now let's go inside. Let's see how things go inside. Well, very early on, a woman behind Donald Trump fainted, and here's how he handled it.
Teleprompter. Do you mind if I get off the teleprompter for a couple of minutes?
Boom, there she goes down in the top frame.
Musicians. You know, I have these great speechwriters. I drive them crazy. You have a doctor in the house, please? Doctor?
I doubt it. I doubt there's a doctor in that house. I gotta tell you, odds are not good.
Yeah, take your time, please.
Take your time.
Want to play a song? How about Ave Maria? Well, because this is going to be okay. How about
While we take the dying woman out, how about we play a song? How about not play a song? Like, I would think having music blaring over the loudspeaker might make it more difficult to assist the woman who needs help. You might want to
also, I mean,
talk to her.
It's a funeral song.
It's a funeral song too. That's the other thing. It's a funeral song about being dead.
Like, hey, somebody strike up Danny Boy.
You're right. Exactly.
They're going to, right now, Ave Maria, if they are listening. Ave Maria by Pavarotti.
Oh, look, Dr. Oz is in the house. He helped her out.
Did he say by Pavarotti?
By
It's Dr. Oz. Can you believe it?
Yeah, he wrote
He wrote it.
Dr. Oz. Thank you, Oz.
Why don't we play?
He'll give you an amphetamine-laden supplement, fix you right up.
Why don't we play "Happy Birthday" by Ronald McDonald?
Yeah.
So anyway, once that disturbance was out of the way, here he is. Now he goes in. He goes in against Thomas Massie. Massie is a complete disaster as a congressman and as a human being. So Stu Peters clipped this. Now, listen to the response or lack thereof from the crowd when he starts going after Thomas Massie.
It's a complete and total disaster as a congressman and, frankly, as a human being. You know,
Crickets.
He's got one thing going. He went to a good college.
He said, like he was expecting an applause. You could tell when these politicians are expecting an applause break and they don't get it.
As a human being.
Please clap.
Yeah, this was his please clap, exactly.
It's a complete and total
disaster
as a congressman and, frankly, as a human being.
Clap? No?
No?
Still no?
He's got one thing
all right,
going.
I guess
He
we'll
went
keep
to
going.
a good college. But I know a lot of stupid people that went to a good college. And my uncle was the longest-serving professor in the history of that particular college.
Oh, wow, that's a fun fact.
University, MIT. 41 years. My uncle was there 41 years, so that means I have much better blood if you go by that. But I went to the hardest college of all to get into.
And who doesn't go by that?
Finance. That means
Who doesn't go by that?
We got to get rid of this loser.
We got to get rid of this loser. See, just not going over very well at all. But you know what went over, I would say even worse. This declaration of victory, we've won the Iran war, he says.
Name. Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do.
He's talking about why he called the Iran war Operation Epic Fury.
Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me say, we've won.
No applause for winning the war? Nothing? We've won. Dead silence. Blank stares.
You know, you can only do. And we've won.
We won.
We've won.
Nothing.
You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over.
Oh, yeah, that's all over.
But they gave me a list of names at general. Sir, you can pick the name you'd like, sir. I said, the name of what? The name of the attack on Iran, sir. And they gave me like 20 names. and I'm like falling asleep. I didn't like any of them. Then I see Epic Fury. I said, I like that name. I like that name.
Well, I got a little applause.
You
for the
don't
name,
you don't think people are gonna say Epstein Fury? If we call it that? No? All right. So
nah, it'd probably be maybe 2 or 3. That's about it. They're the haters.
Maybe
and then the
Massie.
losers. Maybe Massie. We'll call it Epstein Fury, but he's a disaster. Don't worry about him. All right, so it calls in reinforcements here. Here's some fucking punch-drunk idiot, Jake Paul, whatever he does, is he fight people in bites people's ears off in cages or whatever.
Fights old man.
Yeah. Yeah. He comes up with an obviously sweat-stained suit. Look at those sweat stains under the armpits. Why would you wear a tan suit like that if you're going to sweat like that? You got to wear black if you're going to sweat like that. Look at those sweat under there.
Yeah.
Look at it. They're huge. Knockout endorsement. So I guess while Trump is endorsing Ed Gallrein, he figures he'll endorse Jake Paul for some future political office that he's not running for. So here he is. Look at his sweat.
Yeah, what Mr. Trump has taught me is courage. You know, we never back down from a fight, even if they're much bigger than you, much bigger than you. And I feel all the local Kentuckians feel the same way. You guys have that fight. You guys have that swag. There's a lot of young kids in here. The future of America. I grew up just a few hours away from here, and my dad taught me to fight. And all of our voices matter in America.
It's like the jacket they give you when you show up to the restaurant.
We're here
have one.
Yeah, you don't have one. So they don't want to turn you away, so they say here. Yeah. They save it there in case you come in and you're not up to code.
America, and I'm never afraid to speak the truth, and I know you guys aren't. We are here representing the United States, and it's just a blessing. Thank you, Mr. Trump. We need more factories like this thriving all over the country, and I know he's going to be the one to bring that here to us. I know God is with us. I know he wants us on the right side of history, and everyone here has to do their part, and God's got us. Trump's got us. God bless. Love you, Kentucky.
By the way, you stink.
So, if you ever show up at one of my rallies looking like that again, I'll kill you. I'll kill you down. I'll order a drone strike on you, you fucking punchy loser.
Yeah.
I just gotta ask, man, because Jake Paul, not that I follow him avidly or anything, but I don't think anybody really associated him with any particular politics. You pick this moment to jump on the Trump train? Really?
I
like
think...
you felt this was the best moment to do that for your career, to get to hitch your star to that wagon.
Yeah, pretty idiotic. I mean, I think he's made pro-Trump statements before, but I don't know if he's ever shown up at an event before. This is a pretty big.
Yeah, we would have seen that.
This is a pretty big move. It's a pretty big move, especially at this time. But hey, he gets an endorsement from Trump in case he ever wants to run for something.
For what that's going to be worth.
No, he's a great guy. He's a
I mean, look at
courageous
this.
guy,
These are his
guy.
people.
He's a hell of a.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
These are the people who came all the way there on the short bus.
Yeah.
And they're not even into it. They're not even into what he's saying. They won't even eat this up. So what does that say about anybody else? Like, this is the hardest core. These are the people who would still drive to come see this guy.
Yeah, they drove for 4 hours, to come see this guy.
Fighter, too, by the way. And I just want to say, I'm going to make a prediction that you will be, in the not-too-distant future, running for political office. Okay? And you have my complete and total endorsement. Okay?
Oh, God. All right. Well, all right. So now we get to the main event. Here is Ed Gallrein, the Trump-backed challenger, a guy who, look, I'm sorry, but his hairdo is a Hitler hairdo. I mean, he looks like Hitler without the mustache. Literally. I mean, that is a Hitler hairdo right there. So let's take a look.
News gets this.
It's Hitler.
Tom Massie.
The guy looks like Hitler without the. Am I wrong?
Wow! Oh wow! No, it's exactly the Hitler hair.
It's exactly the Hitler. Why would you comb your hair to look like Hitler? Yeah, that is really. I've never seen a politician go out of their way to look so much like
Quite
Hitler. Look at that.
intentional.
Look at that. So anyway, here he is saying Thomas Massie is basically a sissy who likes the women on The View.
I hope the fake news gets this. Tom Massie stands with the ladies of The View. Tom Massie
The View.
stands with the ladies of The View. Mr. President, we stand with you. Fight, fight, fight! USA! USA!
Wow.
I'm telling you, that is the greatest candidate.
Yeah, it's the greatest candidate. Let's play this again.
Stand with you. Fight, fight, fight! USA!
That is the greatest candidate. Oh yeah, he's
you
great.
you could see him fighting not to give the Roman
Yeah.
salute. You could see him fighting the whole blood. He wanted to.
I'm telling you, that is the greatest candidate.
Oh yeah, he's a real winner. That guy.
Yeah,
that guy's fucking
yeah.
awesome.
Lit the room on fire.
I think that guy's got this in the bag.
That guy is challenging Massie.
Yeah, that's the guy who's challenging Massie. Now, just to give you an idea of who this guy is, apparently
I might go door knock for Massie.
Yeah, right, exactly. Apparently, this guy left the Republican Party when Trump won the nomination in 2016, and then re-entered the Republican Party in 2021 after Biden won. So apparently, this guy was very disloyal to Trump in the early going. Now, Thomas Massie seized upon this. He calls him Woke Eddie. This just tells you how Thomas Massie has to kind of dumb it down for the hometown crowd. You know, we're used to Thomas Massie talking about Epstein, talking about the war, but, you know, out there, no disrespect to the fine People's Republic of Kentucky. But this is what you got to kind of do there to make the point. But he does make the point. So let's take a look at this campaign ad by Thomas Massie against Woke Ed Galreen. Woke Hitler. That's what you should call him. You should call him Woke Hitler.
Yeah, Woke Hitler.
And I approve this message.
Woke Eddie Gowrine and
Woke
liberal
Hitler,
out-of-state
Eddie
special
Gowrine.
interest groups have run millions in ads trying to tell you how pro-Trump he is. But what they haven't told you is Woke Eddie Gowrine abandoned President Trump's Republican Party, a complete dereliction of his MAGA duty. Woke Eddie left the Republican Party right after President Trump won the Republican nomination in May of 2016. Just check his voter registration. That's right, Trump becomes the party leader, the MAGA movement is taking off. Disgusted by what he sees, Woke Eddie Gowrine turns his back on Trump and walks away. But it gets even worse. After Eddie Gowrine left Donald Trump's GOP for over 4 years, guess when he finally changed his registration back to the Republican Party? That's right, only after President Trump was no longer in office and Joe Biden had become president in 2021. Woke Eddie Gowrine. Not just a Trump hater, a Trump traitor.
There you go. And Massie tweets out after that ad here. Here's Ed's voter registration
And
card.
also, if you've ever seen The Boys from Brazil, I'm just going to say the resemblance is striking.
Yeah. So Massie also tweets out here, here's Ed's voter registration card documenting when he abandoned the GOP to protest Trump securing the nomination just days before. Yeah, May of 2016. That was right before the final primary that knocked Ted Cruz out of the race. So he exited the Republican Party in protest against Donald Trump. And then he rejoined once Trump lost. So this guy certainly not loyal to the MAGA movement, not particularly loyal to Donald Trump. So why in that case would Donald Trump side with this guy over Thomas Massie? Well, here's your answer. Thomas Massie, $0 from AIPAC. Ed Galrain, $1,825,395 from AIPAC.
Yep.
So you see, if you're a sucker in that room, clapping like a seal for Donald Trump, Jake Paul, and Ed Galrain, you understand that Trump's loyalty is not to you or to his own movement, but it's to the Israelis, which is where Ed Galrain's loyalties lie, which is why he's siding with Ed Galrain over Thomas Massie. A never-Trump Republican who left the party in protest of his nomination gets his endorsement. Why? Well, this is why. This tells you everything you need to know right there, that side-by-side graphic. So these people should wrap their heads around that, because this is a good sign of where Trump's loyalties actually lie. So how successful was this event? How successful was this rally? Well, Gen X girl does a little digging here. Trump's Kentucky shit show. So Trump goes to Kentucky to rally against Thomas Massie. During the event, a supporter faints. Trump responds by asking the rally people to play Ave Maria, a funeral song. 12 hours later, betting site Kalshi reports a 15-point increase for a Massie win. So seems to have the opposite of the intended effects right here. Now Thomas Massie, the 67% favorite against Ed Gallrein after that blockbuster rally. A disaster, as they say, a total disaster. But you know, somebody tell Turning Point USA that, because Turning Point Action tweets out, MAGA rallies are back. Trump haters on notice. That's Turning Point. And the community note there, really bittersweet and brutal. Readers added context. Representative Massie was one of Charlie Kirk's favorite congressmen. And Thomas Massie actually did, just before the show, I didn't have time to put it in the presentation here, he replied to that, letting them know that actually Charlie Kirk was one of Massie's biggest fans, and that Thomas Massie was one of Charlie Kirk's favorite congresspeople, but they're under new management over there. So yeah, this was, yeah, exactly. So this was just a nightmare. It obviously went horribly, and you could see all over the place Trump's influence just waning at an incredibly rapid pace. Now you have Gallrein, the 37% underdog, according to the betting markets at least. We don't have really solid polling to go off of yet, but I'm sure we'll get some in the coming days and weeks. That primary is still a couple months away, so it's not surprising you don't have much as of yet. But Massie, obviously, going into that, the overwhelming favorite. Something that didn't get much news this week because of the war and everything is the fact that Trump's endorsed candidate to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene really took a hot tub of shit in his primary. So Clayton Fuller was the Trump-endorsed Republican who beat out the other Republicans, but with only 34% of the vote. Fewer votes than actually the Democrat got. So the Democrat actually won that primary. Now, of course, it goes to a runoff. It's a jungle primary type thing. So the election will come down to Sean Harris versus Clayton Fuller. But if anybody got, I think, over 50%, actually, no, I'm wrong. This was not a primary. This was the special race. But, of course, if one candidate got over 50%, that'd have been the end. So not only did Fuller not clinch it, he came in second to the Democrat. Now, Fuller will likely win the runoff there, but the fact that this goes to a runoff is evidence of just how far Trump's star has fallen within the party. That same district voted 68% for Donald Trump in 2024, and now his endorsed candidate gets half of that support, from 68 to 34. You know why? Because they liked Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene was a star from their district who pulled a lot of weight for them, and you forced her out of the party. And so half of the people who voted for you, Donald Trump, voted against you in this first round of this special election in Georgia's 14th. And, there's all kinds of terrible news for the Republicans coming in, all over the country. The senator from Montana quit. Darrell Issa quit. You're having huge numbers of Republicans resign in advance of these midterms. It looks like the SAVE Act is going nowhere. We were going to do a segment on that, but there's just too much other stuff that we feel is more urgent. But the TLDR is that the Senate is not going to do what they would have to do to suspend the filibuster in order to pass that. So basically what you're looking at is they either have martial law and cancel the midterms, or it's just going to be a complete nightmare, not just in terms of Republicans versus Democrats, but in terms of the Trump-endorsed picks. I mean, the Trump-endorsed picks, even within the party, are underperforming at a pretty stunning rate. And I think when you look at the response to his speech in that crowd, that's your answer. Even the people who drove 4 hours to be there couldn't muster up a fake applause for statements like, "We've won the war," or "Thomas Massie is a disaster as a person." Even the cultists are not really feeling it once they get in the room.
Yeah, it was really remarkable to watch him doing the same shtick he's always done, and to just have dead silence.
Yeah,
you could really see his moment has passed. It's the same shit he always did. Yeah, no, the war, we won it in the first hour. It's the same kind of nonsense. The easily disprovable statements he always made, but he got cheered on because it wasn't real. It's easy to cheer on a phantasm. Now it's real. Now they're living with inflation. They're living with collapsing job numbers, and they're looking down the barrel of $200 a barrel gas,
right?
And how that's going to impact them. Shit's not funny anymore.
No.
It's not like you're watching him doing a bad version. It's that when the blush comes off the rose, you see how the magic trick is done, right? You see him doing his official voice, like, "I'm a man of the people," and they said, "Sir, what kind of name did you want?" Like, this is the kind of shtick he's always done. And it's just not working anymore. You could feel that very palpably. And hey, what's next? Maybe it's a Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene kind of driven party. I mean, Massie, as he pointed out, I saw that response he had. Yeah, man, he's from TPUSA. He's got like a 91% conservative, straight down the line. He said Thomas Massie is far from a liberal.
I mean, look at that ad he put out against the guy.
Right.
Getty,
Right. Him, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they are actual MAGA. Now, obviously, that's not our politics, but they represent what Trump's voters, the majority, thought they were voting for. Not Israel first, completely compromised guy who's going to suppress the Epstein files. And yeah, man, it's pretty amazing because these are the last of the diehards, and he couldn't even get them going.
Couldn't even get them going.
And it's very surprising. I mean, I guess it's not. He's such a deranged narcissist. He doesn't think this way. He's so obviously setting himself up to be humiliated by getting that invested in trying to displace Massie.
Right.
Like anyone who is not as self-absorbed as he is would have decided not to get in that fight from jump. Like, hey, man, there's no upside. You're almost definitely not going to be able to get that guy out. He's too popular. He's too respected. It's just gonna be a black eye for me. But nope.
Yeah, and even if you do get the guy out, you're almost certainly losing the House anyway, which means what's the difference? Whether he's there or Thomas Massie's there, you're going to be the minority party. Neither of them are going to have much power by the time either of them is sworn in for that 2027 term.
Right.
So why do it? You're only setting yourself up. Well, because he doesn't see it that way. He sees it as my endorsements are gospel and the people will do as I say, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case in this instance. And the rebuke in Georgia's 14th was really, I mean, even stronger. I mean, you went from 68 points to 34. Ugh. Now, you're likely to win anyway when all's said and done because it's still a deep red district and the Democrat made up a little ground, about 7 or 8 points, but not enough in a plus 37 Republican district. But you're still really struggling there. If you're not even cracking 40% in a district you won by almost 70, with almost 70 points. It's just the writing is on the wall. The writing is on the wall. The MAGA movement as currently constituted is all but over. It's all but over. And Trump is the one who killed it. And the irony is that the people who did not flip-flop, the people who stayed true to their convictions were the ones who are being exiled from it right now, or at least he's trying. Marjorie Taylor Greene quit, Massie didn't, and it looks like Massie is going to prevail. Okay. Let's take some Rumble rants over here. Eric Cousseau, the white South Africans are returning, so you're telling me that American trailer parks have some new rentals opening. Good one. America is a shithole because Americans are dumb sheep who easily distracted with dumb shit propaganda. Yeah, that's true. Get Up King, what is the best way to become a member that has the least technical screw-ups and puts the most money in your pockets? Well, any one of our member platforms, Patreon, Substack, or Locals, patreon.com/do-dissidents. That's easy. And that works real well. So patreon.com/do-dissidents. Thank you for that question. Good question. Love that question. All right, let's see what we got over here. Clouseau, lipstick lesbians or wallet chain lesbians. Like that one. It's funny. Bronx Comrade, hardest working podcast, 3 days a week. Heroic. Thank you, Bronx Comrade.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Well, that's, go ahead.
Guess where I'm going tomorrow? Because I'm going to have to be up. Talk about hardest working. I'm going to get like 4 hours sleep tonight. I'm going to My Lai tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a big memorial there to the victims of the massacre. But yeah, man, that's rough when you're doing this until into the middle of the night on 4 hours sleep and you're going down into freaking Viet Cong tunnels, man. Like, it's disorienting. But yeah, man. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's right. Vienticus says everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Thanks, Vienticus. Appreciate that. All right, you got some super chats?
Sure do. Come on. There we go. Machaco's Mac. Hey, base Jews. Russ, since you pride yourself on being an investigative journo, do I? Where is Sarah Hurwitz? Is her phone taken away? Remind me who Sarah Hurwitz is.
She's the Obama speechwriter, the Zionist who, went on that.
The freak, yeah.
The brief little speaking stint. Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that didn't go well, and she decided to hide out very wisely. That was probably a wise decision on her part.
Yeah.
She decided to get out of the
speaking.
public eye.
Yeah.
She found out, oh, I'm completely repulsive to anyone who's not as repulsive as I am.
Yeah.
Wow. I better just stay around my fellow repulsive people from now on. Lesbian dance theorist. I was just talking about leading with my identity.
Okay.
I got it. French laundry super sticker.
Thank you.
I gotta blow that up. Wef Dog. I need to really start delving into your music channel, Keaton. My eldest brother got me into heavy metal when I was a teenager, and being 40 now, I'm always open to finding new bands to listen to. He doesn't really have a metal channel.
No, it's not a metal channel. I mean, I talk about it a little bit. I have a very eclectic taste. That's why it's called The Shuffle, because I kind of like everything. I like everything except polka and opera. That's what I say. Those are the two genres I hate.
Not even the Pennsylvania polka?
Yeah, no. Polka and opera.
Not even
those are
that
the
one?
ones I don't appreciate.
Well, you better not move to Buffalo. They like that polka up there.
Oh, they love polka up there?
I went and saw the Polka King when I was there.
Oh, really? Wow.
I swear I forget the name now, but when I talked about it on the show afterwards, we did have a lot of people in the comments who were like, yeah, you don't know who that is? Like, he's a really big deal if you actually know anything about that, which I do not, obviously. Clearly. It was fun. Francis, the monarchy in Iran has been reinstated, except that the current dynasty is the Khomeini dynasty, not the Pahlavi dynasty. I think it's more complicated than that. I mean, yeah, like they went for the son of the former ruler, but their system of government is not set up like the Pahlavi dynasty was. Ayatollah rock and roller, like that. 47 years sounds a lot like Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia in 1984.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have always been at war with Eurasia.
That's right.
Weft Dog 85. You guys bring comedy into what is a really bleak world at the moment. I've been a patron since November 2023. Chris
wow.
H. And you guys easily do the best podcast when it comes to politics, etc. I'll try and get on the next Q&A. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. You've never been? You've never come on Q&A? Never
nice
been?
To meet you. It'd be nice to meet you.
Pete Sweet, yo. Epic Fury, APAC Fury. Yep.
That's right.
What's up, Pete Sweet? I keep meaning to drop the video. I got a video of Pete Sweet, who I ran into in Way.
We'll have to do it Sunday.
At random, totally at random. He was in a coffee shop and recognized me. Sean Hurl, the only question for my colonial cousins in elections henceforth, you take an APAC, other Ziodash? If yes, then no vote. Yeah, well, that's a fair standard.
Oh, yeah, while it's on my mind. So this Sunday, we're doing one of our Sunday morning shows, our special Sunday morning show. So we'll be live at 10 a.m. this Sunday. The Sunday morning shows have been going over great. We've had great success with that time slot. So just so everybody understands, we will be live at 10 a.m. this Sunday morning. So if you don't trust yourself not to forget, join our newsletter. It's free to join the newsletter. DueDissidents.substack.com. It's an email list where we send emails in advance of our streams. Really comes in handy to be on our Substack when there's a schedule change, because we'll send out a reminder, hey, we're on at a different time than usual. So that'll be this Sunday, 10 a.m. All right.
Sound bleed going on there, man.
I know. They're on their way out. That's why. All right. Very well. Let's move right on along.
Okay. So Donald Trump addressed, this is back on March 3rd, the Strait of Hormuz and how America was going to protect shipping in the Strait of Hormuz.
Effective immediately, I have ordered the United States Development Finance Corporation to provide, at a very reasonable price, political risk insurance and guarantees for the financial security of all maritime trade, especially energy traveling through the Gulf. This will be available to all shipping lines. If necessary, the United States Navy will begin escorting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. No matter what, the United States will ensure the free flow of energy to the world. The United States' economic and military might is the greatest on earth. More actions to come. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Well, that's very reassuring. And then he just reiterated this. Actually, this is what 2 days ago now, right? Yeah, 2 days ago.
Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of the. We know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast. But
we hope we
don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before.
Yeah. Except the Navy says no. No, we can't do that. U.S. Navy tells shipping industry Hormuz escorts not possible for now. The U.S. Navy has refused near daily requests from the shipping industry for military escorts through the Strait of Hormuz since the start of the war on Iran, saying the risk of attacks is too high for now, according to sources familiar with the matter. The Navy's assessments spell continued disruption to Middle East oil exports and reflect a divergence from President Donald Trump's statements that the U.S. is prepared to provide naval escorts whenever needed to restart regular shipments along the key waterway. So, hey, at the same time that Donald Trump is telling you nothing to worry about, Iran apparently has been laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz.
Wanes in the Strait of Hormuz. This is according to two people familiar with the matter. It's another major complication as the world's top oil exporter warns there could be, quote, catastrophic consequences for oil markets if the conflict keeps disrupting ship and oil tanker traffic through the strait. He says beyond upending shipping and insurance, the ongoing disruption could snowball, threatening aviation, agriculture, and other industries. A short time ago, the White House repeated President Trump's promise to provide government-backed insurance as well as naval escorts to keep tankers moving. So far, those shipping companies are resisting traveling through the region while the fighting goes on.
Okay, so Trump was asked if they should go through the Strait of Hormuz, if it would be safe for them to do so.
CEOs of various oil companies encouraging them to use the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, I think they should. I think they should. I think they should.
Oh, they should. They should.
In my opinion, look, we took out.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Their mine ships in one night. We're up to boat number 60. I didn't realize they had that big a navy. I would say it was big and ineffective. But every one of their ships, just about all of their navy is gone. Bottom of the sea.
Mr. President, how do you respond? Mr. President, how
Have they laid any mines in the Strait of Hormuz?
We don't think so.
Who's that we? You got a mouse in your pocket there? Why, is that you and Carolyn? Is that you and Carolyn? Don't think so. Who's the we you're talking about? Oh, I guess he's talking about Chris Wright, Energy Secretary. President Trump is maintaining stability of global energy during the military operations against Iran. The U.S. Navy successfully escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz to ensure oil remains flowing to global markets. If there's anything we know about Donald Trump, he is a man of his word. He said that they were going to escort the tankers through the strait. And U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright deletes an X post from this morning which stated the U.S. Navy had successfully escorted an oil tank through the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices are spiking in response. So everyone's favorite sugar baby, Carolyn Levitt, was asked about this.
Can you explain why the Energy Secretary posted and then appeared to have deleted a post on X saying that the U.S. Navy escorted an oil tanker through the Strait of Hormuz?
Yes, I was made aware of this post. I haven't had a chance to talk to the Energy Secretary about it directly. However, I know the post was taken down pretty quickly, and I can confirm that the U.S. Navy has not escorted a tanker or a vessel at this time, though, of course, that's an option the president has said he will absolutely utilize if and when necessary at the appropriate time.
Except that the U.S. Navy is essentially saying that if they were to go in there, they would be sitting ducks for Iranian attacks, and they don't want to do it.
Yeah, they didn't do it because it's not necessary. Yeah. They didn't do it because it's not possible.
It's not possible. It's not feasible. They're going to be sitting ducks if they go through there. Like the Iranians are dying for them to send U.S. warships into that strait. Power to the people. Breaking. This is not AI. This is real footage of an oil tanker on fire after it was shot in the Strait of Hormuz. This comes after Trump said today it was safe for ships to pass through. Trump was wrong and put the lives of these crew members in danger. There is actually, I don't know from this particular incident, but one of the ships that got taken down had at least one casualty.
Imagine dying for this.
Yep.
Imagine losing your life for this.
Yeah, well, like Sharon,
clowns. I mean, we've seen dishonesty like this before. The run up to the Iraq War. We've seen just diabolical lying like this before, but we've never seen this incompetence married with diabolical
married to this
before.
malfeasance.
I mean, Donald Rumsfeld was no genius, but he was not Pete Hegseth either. I mean, this is just unbelievably buffoonish in the darkest possible sense.
I shared a Caitlin Johnston post where she said, the soldiers who died, they're not heroes. They died for no real reason for the power games of oligarchs.
Yeah, no, they're victims.
Like that. Like that's not. They're victims.
Well, this is
Exactly.
why when Donald Trump said they're suckers and losers, I mean, that was a very crass way of putting it. I, of course, do not, condone that. But the kernel of truth there is that, yeah, they are made suckers by this system. Like these people make suckers out of people who serve. Yeah.
Right. So Iran put out a statement. There's a military spokesman telling people to get ready for $200 oil.
تکرار می‌کنیم هرگز
And let us firmly reiterate that we will never allow even a single liter of oil to pass through the Strait of Hormuz for the benefit of America. The Zionists or their partners, by the way, on that score, they just let millions of barrels of oil go to China.
To China, yeah.
So they are letting oil go through, just not to certain places like us. Any vessel or oil shipment intended for America, the Zionist regime, or their hostile allies will be a legitimate target for us. Your strategy of hiding behind Iran's neighboring countries and Muslims of the West Asia region and even the world has expired. The tactic of your cowardly military hiding in public places and infrastructure in the region cannot save your forces from the quagmire in which you are trapped. Your vital centers and bases are burning one after another in the fire you ignited, and they will continue to burn again and again. We consider the blood of our martyred leader and the great commander of the Islamic Ummah to be a definitive rejection of any passivity. Our policy of reciprocal strikes has ended, and we now pursue a policy of strike after strike until you are fully punished and regret your actions. For once, be honest, stop pretending to be heroes, and admit your defeats throughout American history and since the cursed inception of the Zionist regime. Say it out loud and acknowledge your mistakes. You have repeatedly referred to the presence of your naval forces in the region's waters. The one time you dared to come closer, you retreated in the face of Iran's missile power. From the very first day of your aggression, we have been waiting for you to prove to you that your cowardly military is far smaller than what you count on. You must understand that you will not be able to artificially lower the price of oil and energy. With the expansion of war in the region, we have announced that you should prepare for $200 per barrel because the price of oil depends on security in the region, and you are the source of insecurity. Boom. That's what you call a Persian mic drop. Special kind of mic drop. Cyrus the Great was the first to execute a perfect Persian mic drop. Worthy successor to the great Cyrus there. Wall Street Journal. Escalating Hormuz crisis raises specter of prolonged closure. Escalating Iranian attacks and the U.S. government's decision to hold off on military escorts for oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz are raising the prospect of a prolonged closure that would choke off exports through the world's most important energy transport route. On Wednesday, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps struck 3 cargo ships attempting to transit the waterway, the only sea route out of the Persian Gulf. It warned that any other vessels trying to move through the strait also would be targeted. Later on Wednesday night, in an incident far from the strait, 2 foreign tankers carrying Iraqi fuel oil were ablaze in Iraqi waters after being hit by projectiles, Iraqi port officials said. The U.S. has turned down repeated requests for tanker escorts from oil companies, said officials from Gulf countries. Defense officials say it is too risky to send warships into the confined waters of the strait, which is about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, until the risks of Iranian fire have receded. American forces have hit Iran's navy and its drone and missile crews in an effort to curb the threat, but Iran is still landing blows. Added to that are the risks of naval mines and Iranian submarines lurking below. With traffic paralyzed as a result, the shutdown of the strait is fast causing a global economic disruption and a major military and political challenge for the Trump administration. Shippers were bracing for an extended shutdown of the waterway, where traffic could take a long time to recover, even after the conflict ends. Quote, "It will take time. Not only do we need hostilities to stop, but also ship owners to perceive that the risk to the people on board and to the ships has been materially reduced," said Jerry Kalogeiratos, damn Greeks, chief executive of Athens-based Capital Clean Energy Carriers, which transports liquefied natural gas. Quote, "Think about the Red Sea. 6 months after the Houthis stopped the attacks, the traffic has not normalized," he said, referring to Yemen's Iran-backed militants. "It's all about perception of safety, and we are far away from that." Military and shipping industry analysts said only a halt to the fighting would allow the full resumption of traffic in the strait, through which more than 100 ships passed each day prior to the war. Even if the U.S. were to launch military escorts, some shipping firms and oil companies are likely to hesitate to send their vessels through the strait because of the continued risk of Iranian attack. Quote, "Some of them are saying if there are still attacks and a live war going on, they're not going to risk it either way," said Bridget Diakin, a senior risk and compliance analyst at Lloyd's List Intelligence in London. Even if the strait were to reopen, the U.S. and its partners would face the challenge of clearing a backlog of more than 600 international trading ships that are stuck in the Persian Gulf waiting to get out, among the total of more than 1,000 ships in the waterway, according to Lloyd's List Intelligence. Yeah, that's seems like something they should have thought about before they started this. Talk about FAFO. Brent crude hits $100 a barrel this is today, as reserve release plans fail to ease Iran war-led supply worries. This is what the spokesperson was talking about, saying, don't think you can artificially manage the oil prices. The IEA said Wednesday that its 32 member countries would release 400 million barrels of oil from emergency reserves, marking the biggest coordinated drawdown since the agency was created in the aftermath of the 1973 oil embargo. The United States announced that it would release 172 million barrels from its Strategic Petroleum Reserve, with Energy Secretary Chris Wright saying shipments could begin next week and take roughly 120 days to complete. But you know what? The oil shot right up after this announcement because they understand it's not going to be nearly enough. What happens when that runs out, right? I mean, Iran is making its intentions pretty clear. So you want to see how quickly this effect is taking place, even in the United States. This is a farmer talking about the impact that this has already had on fertilizer prices.
Are hurting pretty bad because we've had this huge jump in fertilizer prices because of this conflict. And, you know, with only about 30% of fertilizer coming through the Strait of Hormuz, that's, if you divide that out per day, that's about 0.09% of the world's fertilizer coming through there. And even if the U.S. only uses 30% of that, which I think is probably a really high number, that's 0.03% and per day. So we've only been in conflict for nearly 12 days here, and our fertilizer costs have jumped nearly 77%, and our corn price has only gone up by 5%. So we've got some real challenges here ahead of us.
Yeah, and this is going to affect, in particular, actually Southeast Asia. Thailand gets a lot of its fertilizer through the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, the Middle East gets a lot of its food shipped through there. So you could have an explosion in food prices more heavily in some regions than others, but this is the United States. And the fertilizer prices have gone up 78% in 12 days of this war. So here's Secretary Wright here, the genius who claimed that a ship escorted an oil tanker through the strait, even though that was completely untrue, being asked about what we're going to do now. And even Laura Ingraham is not buying his answer.
Ships near the strait were hit by projectiles over the past 24 hours. What now?
Yeah, well, what now is, I think you've seen what Iran is all about. The world is seeing what Iran is all about. When this regime took power, the first thing they did was hold 66 American hostages for over a year. 3 years later, they killed hundreds of...
So his answer is, don't you really hate Iran? Don't you really hate them? Aren't they the most evil thing ever? That's his answer. And to her credit, she comes back to the original question.
Of our Marines in Lebanon, all with us taking no action at all against Iran. It is a murderous terrorist regime that's threatened peace and security and prosperity in the Middle East for 47 years. And as you just outlined, as they ramp up their missile program to shield a nuclear weapons development program.
So what kind of prosperity are you talking about? You're talking about the prosperity they have in the failed states that we've left behind with our regime change wars in Iraq, in Syria, in Libya. That kind of prosperity? You mean slave markets? That the prosperity of the slave markets, the money they make at the slave market? Is that the prosperity he means?
Program. You simply can't let them become this superpower that can't be knocked off its pedestal, or else the world is forever held hostage to Iran. So
Mr. Secretary, we know that.
How terrible it would be for the world to feel like they're being held hostage by a deranged country with nuclear weapons. That would just be awful. I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, well, I said that in the angle. I couldn't agree more. And we understand that history. It's murderous. But what now? Ask the question again. They're launching projectiles still of some sort at ships. We have an insurance market that's still messed up, even with, Chubb, I know, is stepping in, $20 billion fund. The DFC is partnering with Chubb. But if you have crews on these ships that are afraid for their lives, how do you break this logjam in this critical waterway?
Well, the most critical thing right now is the U.S. military degrading their ability to project power. Not just missiles for long range, but also their assets that impede travel through the Straits of Hormuz. So it will take us some time to do that, but there's an awesome power of the U.S. military. Soldiers are doing a great job, and we are every hour of every day degrading their military ability to threaten ships in the Straits of Hormuz. And as you saw, we announced earlier today, the president announced just recently that we will release collectively 400 million barrels. This is to tide the world over while these flows are restricted by Iran. But ultimately, the United States military will prevail. We will end their ability to impede traffic through the Straits of Hormuz, and ships will flow again.
Oh, well, I'm reassured. Aren't you reassured, Keaton? I'm reassured. Yeah. I feel very reassured by that. All right, so this was breaking right before we went on. I actually had to do my research right before the show. So Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba, how do you say it? Mojtaba?
Sounds about right.
Khamenei issued his first public statement today. The statement was read by a news anchor on Iranian state television. Khamenei did not appear on camera. Key demands from the statement as translated by Reuters. All U.S. military bases in the region must close immediately or face continued attacks. The Strait of Hormuz must remain closed as a pressure tool. Iran will seek compensation from its enemies. If refused, Iran will seize assets or destroy equivalent property. Regional countries must clarify their positions towards those who attacked Iran. Iran is studying the opening of new fronts in areas where the enemy, quote, has little experience and is extremely vulnerable. Khamenei also thanked Hezbollah and Iraqi armed groups for their support, calling the resistance front part of the Islamic Revolution's values. He addressed the killing of his father, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was assassinated in U.S.-Israeli strikes on Tehran on February 28th. He confirmed his wife, a sister, a niece, and a brother-in-law were also killed in the strike. Khamenei, 56, was appointed by Iran's Assembly of Experts on March 9th. He has not been seen in public since his appointment. Reuters, citing an unnamed Iranian official, reported he was lightly injured in the opening strikes. Iranian officials have confirmed he was wounded, but say he remains active. Oil prices extended gains after the statement. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz has effectively stopped since the war began. President Trump told Fox News he was disappointed in the selection, saying, "I don't believe he can live in peace." You have to laugh or you'll cry. The U.S.-Israeli military operation in Iran is now in its 13th day. Okay, so I guess if the objective of this war was to replace somebody who was willing to negotiate with the U.S., with a guy who, by all accounts, is more conservative than his father was, whose wife you just murdered, along with his sister and his brother-in-law. Well, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. But you know what he doesn't sound like? He doesn't sound like a guy who feels like he's not holding the cards here. He doesn't sound like a guy who is looking at depleted weapon stocks that can't be replaced. He doesn't sound like somebody who's not in a position to continue this war for much longer than America can bear the pain of continuing this war. Iran has made, I think, correctly the decision. It's now or never. We're in it now. We're in it now. It can only benefit our enemies to stop now. We've got them where we want them. American society, Western civilization, cannot bear $200 a barrel oil. We're in a position to impose that. And they're also taking this opportunity to reshape the Middle East. Really, if anything, this war is doing exactly what they claim it was designed to prevent. They're forcing these Arab countries to pick a side. And given that the United States in the early rounds of this war made it very clear they're going to abandon their supposed allies where their bases are in order to protect Israel, these countries are talking about divesting from the United States, which could completely collapse the stock and bond market in the U.S. because it's so propped up by that money. But also remember, these governments are mostly deeply unpopular with their own people. And the more they're forced into a choice between much despised Israel throughout the Muslim world, much despised among their people, and siding with Iran, which we know from some of the rebellions we're seeing in Bahrain and around the region, Iran looks pretty heroic right now. And the longer they're holding off the great Satan and punching it in the nose and humiliating it, the more support they're going to get. I mean, I would predict what you're going to see if this continues is popular uprisings to overthrow these governments in that region. And once that starts to happen, some of them could flip. Some of them could wind up aligning with Iran in order to preserve their governments. The United States is in a no-win situation, and it's unclear. Even if the U.S. Even if Trump says tomorrow war's over, it's not clear that Iran's going to allow that. He's making very clear demands of, he's not asking, what do you want to end the war? He's saying, this is what we want to end the war. Again, I think they're calculating correctly. This is our chance. We're in it now. We've already sacrificed so much. We got to take it to the end of the line.
Well, it's understandable a miscalculation of this proportion could have been made, I don't know, 10 years ago. But, nowadays, there's really no excuse. There's this novel invention that would have really been helpful to consult with before making the decision to bomb Iran. It's called a map. And if you look at a map, you will see that the Iranian coastline borders upon the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, into the Arabian Sea. But between those two things, there's this little narrow strip there, which is called a straits. Yeah. And if you know that the main export from the countries that border that Gulf is oil, then you understand the importance of maintaining functional passage through that strait. And if the Iranian coastline sits right on that strait, that is very valuable in understanding that they have the ability to close that off and fuck up the whole world. So, nowadays, see, in the year 2026, we have these things called maps, which make these decisions a lot easier if you take the time to, look at one. It's unfortunate that no one seems to have thought to do that, because this is just one of many obvious disastrous consequences that was just totally foreseeable to anyone who bothered to look. But, of course, we were just led into this war for Israel, who's used to a world without consequence. And so here we are. But I don't know what else to say other than this was one of many obvious catastrophic results. And of course they have the upper hand. They control the strait. They can close that off very, very easily. It's an obvious, vital choke point that they have control over. Now there's reports in the Wall Street Journal is saying, well, we're going to have to deploy ground troops there to secure the coastline. Look, again, just look at a map. Look at how long the Iranian coastline is. Again, just like you could tell by, you could show a 5-year-old a map of Russia and Ukraine, and they could tell you how that's going to go. Better than Joe Biden could have told you how that's going to go. Look at how big the coastline is. Look at how impossible it's going to be to secure that coastline. And you have the one of many answers as to why this never should have happened.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you staff your cabinet with freaks, weirdos, and crackpots who are just happy to have the job, so they're never going to contradict you, and they're just going to constantly kiss your ass. If you had a real defense secretary and not a shaky, drunk frat boy, he would have told you all this and said, this is suicide. I'm sure Pete Hegseth said, yes, sir.
Yes,
no,
sir.
we can knock out their weapons capacity in 7 days. It's honestly, it's like the last days of the Third Reich. All the best generals were dead, and Hitler started just installing loyalists who would just mouth platitudes about their battle plans. Yes, we'll smash into their right flank. It was just ridiculous pomposity. I'm sure that's pretty much what it's like to sit in a briefing with Hegseth. Yes, sir, we're going to hit them here and here. And there's a point Jang makes also. Venezuela made them cocky, right? It made Trump think our military can do anything, right? So he was probably convinced we're just going to go in, take out the leader, their government's going to collapse, the people are going to rise up, done.
Again, this is not, I know you know this, but again, this is not Venezuela, this is not Iraq. Once again, check the map. Iraq did not have the control over the Strait of Hormuz. Iraq is essentially landlocked because Kuwait is the tip there that's on the Gulf, and it's much, much smaller. So, once again, it doesn't take a breadth of knowledge or perspective to see these things coming.
Saddam had no real support. In spite of what they want to tell you, yes, there are a lot of Iranians that would like to replace the government. There are a lot of Iranians that don't want to replace the government. And it does not seem like even among those within the country who would like to see a different form of government, there doesn't seem to be the sense of illegitimacy and absolute hatred of the government that you had of Saddam Hussein.
Well, but even in Iraq, you had, what bogged us down in Iraq were the insurgents who wanted us out, and they
wanted us out, but not on behalf of Saddam Hussein.
They were not Saddam loyalists, but the point is, they still create a hell of a time, right? So no matter which way you look at it, it's still a commitment that's going to require, thousands and thousands of bodies piled up of troops who should never be sent into harm's way. For a war that should never be fought. It's an absolute catastrophe on a humanitarian level. And, that extends outward to the entire world when you look at the economic consequences of this, which are already being felt. This fucking schmuck here already said, what's his name? Man. Wright, the guy, what's his, I forget his first name.
Chris Wright.
Chris Wright. He already said, there was a quote going around of him on X. Oil prices are not expected to normalize until mid-2027 at the earliest, which really probably means 2028 at the earliest, right?
And jet fuel prices have already gone up, I think, 78%.
Yeah. Wow. All right, we'll take some Rumble rants. Here, I got to text you something because something came in that's very important update to one of our future segments. I don't know if you still want to do that segment or if you want to add this in, but I may as well just say it on the air. I just texted you the tweet. So you know how the FBI was warning about possible threats to the West Coast, and people were suspecting it was a false flag or a psyop. Well, now Carolyn Levitt comes out and tweets out that story should have never been published because it was based on one unverified email tip, and now she says there's no threat to the homeland. So once again,
really?
Talk about a complete clown show. Whatever you want to do with that, I guess it's up to you. It's your piece. But now the word is never mind about that, which we can talk about it if you want. But
we'll just make that part of the segment.
We have to just probably lead with that, and then we'll do a run up.
All right. Did you send me the tweet?
Yeah, I texted it to you just now.
All right. So I'll just pull it up.
Yeah. All right. Nocturnal Human. Jake Paul is perfect to run against Joe Biden. Thank you, Nocturnal Human. Clip that fight for the soundboard. Perfect for how this war is going. Squire says, sorry, lads, but your government are mirroring the IOF with their joint war crimes. Both these governments, are total monsters. I pray the working class can have peaceful revolution. A civil war would be disastrous. All the local news channels. Well, yes, obviously, civil wars are always the worst thing that can happen to a country, obviously.
As a guy with a music channel, I would think you'd have more appreciation of all the great ditties that come out of a civil war.
Yeah, like Yankee Doodle Dandy and stuff.
Yeah.
All the local news channels here in Southern California are warning us of possible Iran drone strike. Those damn mullahs are going to hit the happiest place on earth, Disneyland. They're going to kill Mickey. Well, apparently, Carolyn Levitt now says that was a false alarm and that should have never been printed. Ways to interpret that vary, so I guess we'll talk about it later. Vienticus Prime, Visa and MasterCard just put the squeeze on another company. Subscribe-Star, controlling grip on the independent media and entertainment gets ever tighter. Hardly anyone talks about this attack vector. It is true, and it is scary, for sure. Continuing, millions and millions of dollars are being spent worldwide attacking entertainment, anime, manga, and gaming. So much money hardly anyone talks about, including Valve versus Rothschilds. Eric Rousseau, U.S. Holy War draft. Back in my day, we fought bankers' wars. Stoop sign, come on down to Persian Pete's 200 barrel of oil extravaganza. Perfect price for the greatest Satan this planet's ever seen. Shiite happens. I like that. Shiite happens. That's funny. Eric Rousseau, fertilizer problems. I hear the Navy has a lot of extra poop. That's right. Get Up King, the Loud Jacks have decided to pick a fight with the quiet kid that's been training MMA since he was 2. Thank you, Get Up King. Appreciate that. All right, got some super chats over there?
Yeah. Tenured Village Idiot. Doesn't matter who you vote for, you get President Netanyahu. You can't vote your way out of what you voted your way into. Sadly, I think you're right. But on a hopeful note, I've never seen the American public this resistant to war propaganda in my lifetime. Not ever.
No, and
they always bite. They always bite every fucking time.
Well, that could be why. That could be a part of why, Carolyn Levitt. Don't forget, she tweets this fucking thing out after, 14 hours of it being out there? It could have been they tried to psyop the people and realized it wasn't working, and so they take it back. That could have been what it was.
Sure. Sure.
So anyway, we'll get to that later. We don't need to step on
that. Matt from Wisconsin had a Wisconsin-style pizza the other day and thought of you guys. Onions, bratwurst, and beer cheese on a pretzel crust can't be worse than St. Louis, right? It sounds like it might be worse. It sounds like
it's a pretzel. I mean, it sounds like it's a gimmick. It sounds like it's a pretzel with beer cheese in the shape of a pizza, and so they call it a pizza. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, pretty much. We should go there just to mock it.
Yeah.
Brad Gilbert, Professor Zhang showed the scripture for the banker war. And I was listening to his latest a little earlier. He had a great clip where someone from the Iranian government was being interviewed, NBC or something, and they asked him about American ground troops going in, and basically he said, "We welcome that. We're looking forward to it," and this is where you really see that America got itself into a Vietnam kind of situation here, because the anchor was like, hang on, you're saying that you want the ground troops to go? He's like, oh yes, we've been preparing for this. Yeah, man. Like the concept that American power has a limit, that limit has not been shown in such a stark way in a very long time.
All right, we got 2446 in here. And up to 968. The light tower. There we go.
All right. Smitty Jones III. Russ, weird to say enjoy me lie, but hope it's a good visit. It'd definitely make for a good video. Are you checking out the 521 Khmer Rouge prison in Cambodia too? Of course I am. Excuse me. Really enjoying your travel vids. Yeah, I'm going to the killing fields of the prison. That's usually something you'll do together. Yeah, no, this is a highlight of the trip. I've really been looking forward to this. And that's why I'm going, in spite of the fact that it's going to be probably pissing rain. Mark Flower, keep up the good work, you two. Thank you.
Thank you.
Darius Watson. That's a great name. I might steal that for a fictional character. I'm always looking for names for fictional characters. Darius Watson. That is awesome. Where is JD? I grew up near a guy who probably had the best potential literary name I've ever heard. Xavier Redican.
Yeah, there you go.
Where is JD Vance at during all this warmongering? I feel like he's hiding. He is. He's watching his presidential aspirations go between the couch cushions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's falling back there like loose change and sperm. Michael RCH. Owen Jones beat Rafi Berg, the Middle East editor for the BBC, in court today. Berg was suing Jones for defamation over allegations of BBC bias in an article that Jones published on Dropsite. The court ruled in Jones's favor. All right, well, that's good. And I guess we'll throw out one more there. Canada Generation. Keaton Russ, have you ever played Fallout the game? Man, I played like the early versions of it. It got, before it got really advanced. when it was more like Sim City. It looks like it became more like role playing game over time. It evolved into that.
Right.
So the version I played is nothing like what they have now. I'm sure I would like it, which is why I won't play it. I've said this. Like, I won't get a game console because it would be the end of my life. I would get so absorbed in that I would never do anything else. All right.
All right. Go ahead. We go right on to Chris Murphy.
All right. So they gave a briefing to Congress, and Chris Murphy came out and said what he could without violating classified information. I was in a 2-hour briefing today on the Iran war. All the briefings are closed because Trump can't defend this war in public. I obviously can't disclose classified info, but you deserve to know how incoherent and incomplete these war plans are. Here's what I can share. Maybe the lead-in is that the war goals do not involve destroying Iran's nuclear weapons program. This is surprising, since Trump says over and over this is a key goal. But then, of course, we already know airstrikes can't wipe out their nuclear material.
I got to go sign for something. I'll turn the camera off. I'll be right back. Keep going.
Okay. Second, they confirmed regime change is also not on the list. So they're going to spend hundreds of billions of your taxpayer dollars, get a whole bunch of Americans killed, and a hardline regime, probably a more anti-American hardline regime, will still be in charge. Yeah, I'd say so, because the guy in charge now had his wife, his brother-in-law, and his sister murdered by the United States. Yeah, that'd make you hardline. That'd make you anti-American. Probably. It's a good prediction. And hey, side note, patriotic blonde here. And just as I told you, here comes the draft. Congress passes automatic involuntary draft registration. I wonder why they did that now. Well, maybe because they had no plan for this war, and now they're realizing they're going to need ground troops, which of course is likely to be a disaster. Okay, so what are the goals? It seems primarily destroying lots of missiles and boats and drone factories. But the question that stumped them, what happens when you stop bombing and they restart production? They hinted at more bombing, which is, of course, endless war. Well, that's what they like. That's what they like, because then the MIC gets your tax money. They get your tax. That's why we're always at war. Keep them rich. And on the Strait of Hormuz, they had no plan. I can't go into more detail about how Iran gums up the strait, but suffice it to say right now, they didn't know how to get it safely back open, which is unforgivable because this part of the disaster was 100% foreseeable. Well, I mean, not if you're seeing double like Secretary Drunky there. Then you can't see it, right? He probably thought it was twice as wide. He's seen the map twice there. All right, so Chris Murphy gave an interview to Multiple Sclerosis Now about this. Don't you dare. Hang on. All right.
2-hour closed-door classified briefing on the war. Just confirmed to me it's totally incoherent. We're not going to be able to achieve any of our stated objectives. But I mention it because it's another closed-door briefing. We have still not yet heard a full explanation as to why this is necessary. We still have had no hearings in front of Congress that the public can see, and I think that's pretty simple. Because if the president did what the Constitution says, come to Congress to get authorization for this war, he wouldn't get it. The American people would demand that their member of Congress, their senator, whether they be a Republican or Democrat, vote no, because this is a disaster of epic proportions. It's already getting Americans killed. It's driving up prices here at home. Harder line leadership, more antithetical to U.S. interests are strengthening inside Iran, and there's really no way that we're going to be able to destroy their nuclear program because most of it is buried underground unless we mount a ground invasion, which would be even more disastrous and more unpopular. This has just been a debacle, a 10-day debacle. And we're going to use whatever leverage we have in the Senate to try to prompt those hearings, to try to prompt that vote, and to get this administration to start paying attention to the Constitution.
Good luck with that. So, hey, it's a valid question. I know with this administration, it's tempting to just assume when you say what were they thinking, to just say they weren't. But okay, man. I mean, they had to have had, they couldn't have not known about the Strait of Hormuz. They couldn't have not known that it was there. Certainly, there's a lot of arrogance. I'm sure they thought very much like another administration I could think of. Oh, we'll be greeted as liberators. It'll be fine, right? That's some variation on that. But Gen X girl, big shout out. She put together a pretty good theory of what they were thinking and why they thought that it wasn't all going to be on them and their, by many accounts, inadequate supply of ammunition. Gen X girl here. Was Operation Epic Fuck Up planned to be a trigger to rally countries to join the war? U.S. officials say they are perplexed Gulf states haven't joined the war yet after the following happened. U.S. did not notify Gulf of Iran attack. Gulf states under attack. Gulf interceptors rapidly depleting. Gulf complains U.S. not helping them. Hegseth says U.S. cannot stop many Iranian drones. U.S.-Israel stockpiles aren't enough to fight alone long term. The estimated time frame for munitions inventory at moderate level strikes to run out is 4 to 5 weeks. Hegseth's latest time frame for the war is 8 weeks. The time frame has been increased almost daily. So did the Trump-Bibi plan include scaring the Gulf states into joining the war? This article certainly seems to subtly indicate yes. Now add the reports indicating the false flag attacks by Shaheed-like drones on other countries like Cyprus, UK base, Azerbaijan, etc., that were not launched by Iran. It seems the calculation for weapons and military needed to fight this war included many other countries. And this is the article that she's referring to. Gulf allies complain U.S. didn't notify them of Iran attacks and ignored their warning, sources say. One of the officials said the Gulf countries were frustrated and even angry that the U.S. military has not defended them enough. He said there is belief in the region that the operation is focused on defending Israel and American troops while leaving Gulf countries to protect themselves, and said that his country's stock of interceptors was rapidly depleting. Pentagon officials conceded this week in closed-door briefings with lawmakers they are struggling to stop waves of drones launched by Iran, leaving some U.S. targets in the Gulf region, including troops, vulnerable. In briefings for members of Congress on Tuesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, told lawmakers that the U.S. will not be able to intercept many of the incoming UAVs, especially the Shaheds, according to 3 people familiar with the briefings. That person, a U.S. official who is familiar with the U.S. security posture in Gulf region, said the U.S. did not have widespread capabilities throughout the Gulf region to effectively counter waves of the one-way drones coming to places outside conventional targets or bases outside of Iraq and Syria. Their air defense systems are hardly as robust as Israel's, but according to this person, U.S. officials have been somewhat perplexed that the Gulf countries are still not showing an appetite for delivering a counteroffensive by launching missiles at Iranian targets. And here, The UK announced the drones targeting the British airbase in Cyprus were not launched by Iran. We know at least one Shahed-like drone called Lucas was launched in battle by the US. Israel is actively trying to get other countries to join a war, so a false flag op is plausible.
Shahed-like drone which targeted RAF Akrotiri on the 2nd of March. That was the drone that came in at midnight. They are saying that that was not launched from Iran. So that is interesting and significant. They are not giving us any information as yet as to where they think that was launched from. But a drone that hit RAF Akrotiri, that was the one I think that caused damage to the airstrip, did not come from Iran, was not launched from Iran. Obviously, may well have come via Iran. And in the last 24 hours, the UK has resupplied air defence systems to British and Allied bases across the region, including UK-built air defence missiles, and that Royal Navy Wildcat helicopters armed with Martlet missiles capable of taking out aerial threats are arriving in Cyprus in the coming days. That is all we have in terms of an actual time frame. The coming days could be as long as a week, some would possibly argue.
Okay. And CENTCOM deployed a reversed engineered Iranian Shahed 136 drone called Lucas. Okay, so we have drones that plausibly pass as Shaheds. CENTCOM announced Saturday that it introduced the Locust low-cost unmanned combat attack system drone to combat. Built by the Arizona-based SpectreWorks, it is a reversed engineered version of the Shahed 136, according to CENTCOM. So that could possibly be how they did that false flag. And we know that Allied forces hit an Iranian desalinization plant. And Gen X Girl here suggests, I think plausibly, high probability the U.S. and Israel did this because they want Iran to hit the water desalination plants of Gulf states, so they're motivated to join the war. It's interesting and might possibly explain why they haven't, because people were kind of expecting that they would after that happened to them, but they didn't. It seems like they have a military not made up of drunks. I guess it's kind of useful to belong to a religion that doesn't allow alcohol when you're planning for war, when you're making war plans, right? Hey, this kind of adds to the theory, and we've been hearing this a lot. U.S. cannot provide enough missiles for Gulf states and Ukraine. Military analysts have been saying the U.S. will run out of munitions at its current rate, and given the multiple theaters of war for the past several years. Even defensive weapons such as THAAD in South Korea is under consideration for relocation to the Middle East because several in the Middle East have been destroyed. And hey, I kind of wanted to do this as a full story, but this gives us an opportunity to cover it. So we did indeed take this away from South Korea. New Korean media published an image from today showing the U.S. dismantling its THAAD and Patriot systems from South Korea to send to the Middle East. And finally, from Arnaud Bertrand on that, we are just winning friends and influencing people all over the world. This is a huge story in China right now, given how big an outcry the installation of this caused back in 2017. Chinese tourism to South Korea was stopped. The Lot Group was essentially shut down in China. Nearly all of Lot Mart's 112 Chinese stores were closed down due to fire safety issues. Hyundai and Kia had to close factories. K-pop disappeared from Chinese media, etc. And now the U.S. is just dismantling it to send it to the Middle East. So quite literally, to have this, South Korea endured tens of billions in economic damage and did enormous harm to its relationship with its neighbor and largest trading partner, only for the U.S. to take it back whenever it suited them. The lesson writes itself. Yes, it does. This is textbook late stage empire imperial collapse kind of behavior. It is all just laced with the arrogance of having had too much power for too long and lacking the judgment that encounters with reality in part. It is a leadership class that is completely out of touch with reality, that doesn't think it needs to maintain alliances and doesn't think that it needs to do meaningful war planning before doing something that is likely to crash the world economy. When you look at Iran's thinking, it's very interesting being in Vietnam as this is going on. One of my tour guides, the one I went to the DMZ with, she gave an entire history of the Vietnam War from the Vietnamese point of view. And she said, we knew we didn't have to win the battles. We just had to not surrender. That if we refused defeat, eventually it was going to be more than the United States could bear. We just had to outlast the US's capacity to continue. That is very much Iran's thinking, and they have something that the Vietnamese didn't. The Strait of Hormuz. The Vietnamese won that war, and they didn't have any lever like what the Iranians have to make this far too painful to continue. You're not talking what you think we could bear this for 15 years, like the Vietnam War. We're not going to be able to bear this
For 6 months.
For 2 months. For 2 months, if they can really keep that strait closed, you're talking total collapse in air travel, in tourism, exploding food prices, exploding heating bills, absolute total global economic meltdown as a result of this. I think that theory is probably correct, that they thought they were going to be able to get some kind of bullshit coalition of the willing going against Iran, and that would make up for the shortfall in their munitions and capacity to project force. But now they're in it, man. Now they're in it. That's what the spokesman in the previous segment said. You're in a quagmire, and they are.
Oh, of course
they are. It's not clear that even if they pull out, Iran would be willing to open the strait.
Well, yeah. Well, no, it's just a total nightmare. I mean, even if you got this coalition together, you're not opening up the strait without a very bloody fight that we're not up for, obviously. And the reason they're not entering the fight is very simple. They don't want to lose. What if they enter and they lose? I mean, now they're fucked, right? And so, again, I hate to be a broken record, but this is why this couldn't happen. It can only go one way, the wrong way for the whole world, because you already have now the humanitarian crisis within Iran. 3 million Iranians now, according to the UN, have already been displaced as a result of this. And I'm going to have these fucking hippopotami who show up at these Trump rallies complain about Muslim refugees around the world. Well, where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that comes from? Right?
Yes.
So you already have a humanitarian disaster on your hands. You're going to have a global economic disaster on your hands. And it may be too late to correct any of it, but as for why this coalition is not coming together, that's why. Because they're neighboring states, and they don't want to be dominated. They don't want to take the L, because there's massive consequences to taking that loss. Like, this is not like a game for these countries that, we are separated by an ocean from all this, right? This is all kind of under glass and at arm's length to us. But that's not the case over there.
Not for long.
Yeah, that's not the case over there. And so, this is once again, not to be a broken record, but this is why this was such a disastrous thing to do. And this was all very, very foreseeable. There's really nothing more I got to say about it. I hate to keep repeating myself.
We talk a lot about how Israel isn't allowing footage out. There's a story I might work on for Sunday. Dubai is over, man. They just arrested a Turkish guy for sharing video of what's actually happening in Dubai because they're terrified. Their whole economy is dependent on decadent billionaires and OnlyFans models that serve them coming there, and everybody's fleeing. They don't have anything else. Like their whole they don't even have oil
right
there. They're completely dependent on this parasitic relationship between sick perverts and OnlyFans influencers. And if they don't come, that's it. That's the end of their entire economy. So yeah, man, they arrested a guy who's facing prison time for sharing a video of what's really going on inside Dubai.
Wow. Yep. And this is all in 2 weeks. This is all in 2 weeks.
Yep.
This did not take long to happen. All right. Let's move right on along here. You got some super chats over there, I think. You got a few.
Yes, I do. Satanica, love from Bahrain, writing this with the sounds of interceptors outside. Wow. But what has really set me off recently is how everyone here is. All right. We do have the second party and get hit by an interceptor there. Satanica, ignoring that this is all due to a chain of events starting with Israel, U.S., not Iran. Feels like a gaslighting, literally and figuratively, U.S. colony. Well, is that what you're getting in your media and the people aren't buying it, or the people buying it, or does it depend on if you're a Shia or a Sunni? Like, I mean, I'm honestly asking. I don't know. Tom clubbing. Stay safe, man. Car ramming and active pew pew at synagogue in Detroit.
Yep, that's breaking right now.
Oh, yeah?
Right now.
Okay.
Yep. Reports of active shooter at Detroit area synagogue containing school. Police responding to reports of shooter and car driven into building. According to Nick Sorter, the school is not in session today, which is perhaps lucky. Don't want to speak too soon, obviously, but obviously just a horrible event. And yeah, you can't help but think whether this is, you know, this is one of those false flag setups. Yeah.
What, Nick Shirley planned this operation?
No, Nick Sorter, not Shirley.
No. Well, they showed up when the school's not in session.
Oh, yeah, because of the Somalis, right. Kemen, with the war dragging on, is Keaton still straight for that Hormuz? Maybe. Some gay feelings arising, no judgment. Huh, good one. $1 Million Troop protested with a group outside the Trump Galrain rally yesterday and got a pic of a 5-year-old kid with a sign that says Trump is a funk nut and a red hat that read make racism wrong again, I assume. Oh, good for you, $1 Million Trooper. Appreciate that. Yeah, breaking, says RB, police are currently responding to an active shooter at Temple Israel Synagogue in Michigan. The mainstream media has confirmed this is not a false flag. It's funny, you know, Carolyn Levitt just said, yeah, there's no threat to the homeland, and we don't know anything about this. This could just be, obviously, well, I mean, it is an act of terrorism, obviously, to drive a car into a synagogue. Yeah, this is what we feared might happen. Russ, your trip seems very complex and detailed. Did you plan it with AI or just hire guides in different countries?
I did a lot of
guides.
No. I did a lot of research. Months. Like, I researched it for months. You know what I probably made the most use of? YouTube videos. There are a lot of YouTube videos that have a lot of information for these countries, you know, because it's been such a backpacker trail for so long. Like, there's a lot of information out there about it. And yeah, man, I mean, of course, I Googled some things like top sites to see in this place or that place. In terms of like having guides, that's for things I can't do myself, like Me Lie. How would I even get there? So, like, I have to hire a guide. I have like an app on my phone that's pretty incredible, man. GPS My City. I haven't gotten to a city where they did not have like built-in tours with maps and information. I prefer that because I like to take my own time. But there were a lot of things, like I went to Mison yesterday, which are the ruins of the original Cham kingdom that was here before the Viet defeated them. So I mean, those were incredible. Again, it's something I couldn't really do myself. So that's when I get guides, when it's like a day trip kind of thing.
All right. Well, we will see if there's anything to cover as far as these recent events. After the next segment, I will see if I could scour around, get maybe an article or something. But we don't know much. Apparently, the gunman is dead. That's what I'm hearing. And there's no real information beyond that seems available right now. So we will keep as on that as we can throughout the segments. Got a couple more segments for you all today. But assuming this is not a false flag, you know, this is the kind of just horrible, violence that is a consequence of this war. I mean, what do we say? We said this is going to cause a spike in anti-Semitic incidents. And so assuming this is not, and we can't make that assumption right now, but obviously, you know, to see a car drive into a K through 12 school is just, I mean, it makes me sick to think of that. Just an attack on children, as attacks on Iranian children are just horrible. And it's, this is just why this is such a disaster. I mean, there's really nothing else I can say about it at this point. But it's just absolutely horrific. So we will stay on it, of course, as best we can. And I'm sure more information will come out between today and Sunday. So I'm sure we'll have more of a story to tell about this on Sunday. So yeah. All right. But yeah, everybody's going to suspect, obviously, deep state shenanigans. That's what Tucker said. I mean, you know, you already got people on Twitter saying this is a consequence of his rhetoric. I mean, get the fuck out. Like, it's just, to me, you know, it's just so sickening. It really is. All right, we'll move on as best we can. All right, folks. So President Lindsey Graham has been really dictating as many terms of our foreign policy as he possibly can here. Graham says, Saudi Arabia, I'm willing to make a mutual defense agreement with your country. Oh, you're willing to do? Oh, you? You're, last I checked, the senator from South Carolina, not the president of the United States or the Secretary of State. But look, Fox News knows that the president watches them a lot. And so why not just parade around the most hawkish senator in Washington to do war propaganda for the viewing pleasure of Donald Trump, their number one fan. So here he is.
Saudi Arabia. I've been your biggest champion. I think the Crown Prince has taken Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you.
We would go to this guy's talking like it's all his call. His call. Man, look at this. Talking about Spain now. Spain, you have lost your way. I don't want to do business with you anymore. Once again, folks, this is the senator from South Carolina. Not Scott Bessent, not Marco Rubio. No, it's Lindsey Graham.
Man, you have lost your way. I don't want to do business with you anymore. I want our air bases out of Spain into a country that will let us use them. To our Arab friends, I've tried to help you construct a new Mideast. You need to up your game here. I can't go to South Carolina and say we're fighting and you won't publicly fight. What you're doing behind the scenes.
So you can't go to South Carolina and tell your constituents that we, meaning they, it's not you, you're a childless cat lady with no real skin in the game. They are sending their kids to go and fight in this illegal war of choice that you've been wanting since your balls dropped, assuming you have them. You are now browbeating Spain for not getting in because they're making it harder for you to propagandize to the people of South Carolina about their duty when it comes to liberating Iran. I guess that's what he's saying. I guess that's his point.
Can't go to South Carolina and say we're fighting and you won't publicly fight. What you're doing behind the scenes, that has to stop. The double dealing of the Arab world when it comes to this stuff needs to end. I go back to South Carolina. I'm asking.
Yeah, you're asking them to go to the Middle East and South Carolina, and if Spain's not going, it makes it harder. So Megyn Kelly says, let's get real. The problem with Lindsey Graham isn't just that he's a homicidal maniac. It's that Trump likes and is listening to him, and Trump's favorite channel is parading him around like a Hefner bunny in stockings on every show. Yeah, don't think it's an accident that he's getting on Fox News because he knows the president. Don't forget, Donald Trump thinks this war is very popular. According to Tucker, he's in an information bubble. I believe that's true. I believe you can show Donald Trump anything, and he'll believe it. So let's not forget this tweet from Charlie Kirk in April. It's going unnoticed because so much other news is happening, but the war drums are beating again in D.C. The warmongers worry this is their last chance to get the white whale they've been chasing for 30 years, an all-out regime change war against Iran. Megyn Kelly here taking things a bit further. Within 5 months, he would be killed, but he saw the truth regarding Charlie Kirk. All right. Now, this caught the eye of a lot of MAGA media people here. Lindsey Graham, I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel until our dying day.
To all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus.
So Matt Walsh notices this. This is an insane thing for a United States senator to say. Totally indefensible. Yeah, if they said that about any other country, I'm with any other country until my dying day, they would be investigated, right? I mean, that would be considered a highly suspicious statement. I'm with Israel until my dying day. He explicitly says he's with Israel over isolationist Americans. In a sane society, that kind of statement would be the end of his political career. You shouldn't be pledging your undying loyalty to any foreign country at all, period, much less explicitly placing your loyalty to it over your loyalty to the constituents you were elected to serve. That's true. It should be the end of his political career. And actually, it's an overlooked race this year, perhaps, that Lindsey Graham is up for re-election in South Carolina. And you would think he'd have a formidable challenger from the isolationist, quote-unquote, wing of the Republican Party. But you know who shut that down before it could get going? You know who drowned that possibility in the bathtub? Your man, Donald Trump. This was the first endorsement that he made in the midterm cycle, was just about a year ago to the day. Trump endorses South Carolina's Lindsey Graham for re-election. What it could mean for 2026 campaign. Check the date on that. Like I said, almost a year ago to the day, March 27th, 2025. And last fall, Trump's first in-person fundraiser of the 2026 cycle will be for Lindsey Graham. So you talk about forecasting this. Trump signaled this betrayal a full year ago. The first move he made before we were even talking about the midterms, right? This was just after he took office, was to endorse Lindsey Graham, to shut down any possibility of an anti-neocon primary in that race. So Rex tells Matt Walsh, break your chains. Yeah, little subtweet of Ben Shapiro there. But yeah, Lindsey Graham, hugely consequential in this decision. The Wall Street Journal put out a whole article, Lindsey Graham's quest to sell Trump on striking Iran. He's talked about going back and forth to Israel every couple of weeks in order to get these talks underway. Not peace talks, war talks. In other words, in order for him to convince Donald Trump that we needed to go to war for Netanyahu. So here is Ted Cruz, who just must be a glutton for punishment. He must have some kind of sick fetish. He just loves putting himself in situations where he's forced to squirm. So here's Laura Ingraham grilling Ted Cruz over Lindsey Graham's role in pushing Trump towards war.
Yeah, and Senator, I want to ask about what the Wall Street Journal is reporting about your colleague, Senator Lindsey Graham. The Journal is saying that Graham traveled several times to Israel in recent weeks to help make the case on Iran, meeting with members of the country's intelligence agency, spoke with Netanyahu, coaching him on how to lobby President Trump for action. Graham said that Netanyahu showed the president intel that persuaded President Trump to go ahead. Senator, I know you all talk to foreign leaders, and that happens routinely. But speaking to a foreign leader on the precipice of war and seeming to be lobbying or being an intermediary, which this seems to indicate, is that the right way to go?
Well, listen, Lindsey is passionate about defending America, and he is on the road a lot. He's talking to world leaders all over the world. There are times when I agree with Lindsey. There are times when I don't. But when it comes to
what
the
about
threat,
this?
What about this?
What about
Yeah.
this? I mean, this is something of a totally different level, is it not?
No, actually, when it comes to the threat Iran poses, Lindsey agrees they pose a major threat to America, and I agree they pose a major threat to America.
Oh, so then why'd you just try to wiggle out of that answer then? By saying, yeah, look, we agree on some things, we don't agree on other things.
Lindsey and I disagreed on the Iraq War. He thought the Iraq War was a good idea. I thought the Iraq War was a mistake. I think Iran...
Oh, but this one's a great idea.
Lindsey Graham loves penis. I prefer the vagina. That's another disagreement we have.
Fundamentally different because Saddam Hussein was not murdering Americans on the scale and level that Iran has been doing. Saddam Hussein was not funding Hamas and Hezbollah killing Americans. And President Trump acted boldly to
Ted
take
Cruz
out a
loves Saddam
regime
Hussein.
that had been killing Americans over
But
and
we're
over.
not disagreeing on that.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that. Our point is working with Netanyahu so closely to lobby President Trump, acting as an intermediary for a foreign country. Is that appropriate?
Right. In other words, the question is, he seemed to be lobbying for Netanyahu, right? He would go to Israel. He would come back and try to convince Trump to attack Iran, seemingly at the behest of Netanyahu. That's the question that you're just trying to wiggle your way out of. It really is like this guy has like some sort of fetish where he just likes being dominated in interviews. He puts himself in situation time after time where he just embarrasses himself.
That was my simple question. I'm not trying to be difficult here, but that's slightly unusual, is it not? I agree with you on the other points.
I don't think it's a fair characterization that Lindsey is an intermediary for Israel. And a lot of the critics say, oh, the war is all about Israel. Understand, it's not about Israel. It is about America.
Yeah, no, he just says, I'm with Israel until my dying day. No, that doesn't signal that he's more loyal to Israel than to the United States. It doesn't say I'm with America till my dying day. I'm with South Carolina. No, I'm with Israel till my dying day. No, that doesn't bother people in terms of any question about where his loyalties lie.
For Israel. And a lot of the critics say, oh, the war is all about Israel. Understand, it's not about Israel. It is about America. The reason President Trump acted is to defend America.
It's just unbelievable.
There's a reason the Ayatollah referred to Israel as the little Satan, and America is the great Satan.
Yeah, it's because Israel's small and America's big. But you don't think it's a strange coincidence that we went in when it became clear that Israel wanted to go in? Again, just the absurdity of this. Oh, we needed to do this for 47 years. So then why did none of you guys ever say we needed to do it until Israel insisted that we do it? Like, if this needed to happen 47 years ago, then where were you guys 10 years ago? Trump ran 10 years ago. No? Nothing? Nothing until Netanyahu says do it.
I believe if the Ayatollah got a nuclear weapon, he would use it. Laura, if the Ayatollah could kill you and me right now, he would. And that's why President Trump acted.
Except he doesn't have one, and they said they didn't want one. And they actually signed a deal promising not to make one. Yeah, if I had big ears and a trunk, I would look like Dumbo, but I don't. So what kind of point is that? Oh, if they had one, they'd use it, except they said they didn't want one, and they made no indication that they were pursuing one. And your claims to the contrary are based on absolutely no evidence whatsoever. Just really unbelievable, once again. Just extraordinary. So here's Megyn Kelly, not just tweeting anymore. Now she gets on camera to say what she thinks of Lindsey Graham. Not so nice words here. It's nice to hear her talk this way about a white person for a change, you know?
Yeah, it's very
want
rare.
a solid defeat if it can be achieved. But I'm also going to be honest, and it's not going universally well over there. We're getting propaganda from the administration, and then we're getting just the naysayers who report nothing but bad news for the United States, which isn't true either. I mean, it's quite a feat to have sunk their entire Navy, which we appear to have done. It's, you know, don't underestimate the power of the U.S. military, but the bloodlust by the administration's spokespeople, and this guy chief among them, is very disconcerting. It's very off-putting.
Oh, that's off-putting from the woman who said she wanted the Venezuelan fishermen not just to die, but to suffer. Based on no evidence that they were who the administration said they were. This bloodlust is very upsetting all of a sudden.
He then, went on to issue a warning to Spain. Okay, what are we now doing to Spain? Not to mention the entire Arab world.
To our friends in Spain, man, you have lost your way. I don't want to do business with you anymore. I want our air bases out of Spain into a country that will let us use them.
I think they would like that too.
I've tried to help you construct a new Mideast. You need to up your game here. I can't go to South Carolina and say we're fighting and you won't publicly fight. What you're doing behind the scenes, that has to stop. The double dealing of the Arab world when it comes to this stuff needs to end.
No one elected you as our commander-in-chief. Shut the fuck up. Get off the national scene. You've disgraced yourself and endangered our troops long enough.
We elected a straight man to lead our military, not Lindsey Graham.
It's like when you go into a Macy's and Santa Claus is black. Nobody asked for a black Santa Claus. Nobody asked for that.
Exactly. Lindsey Graham draws GOP fire over Iran. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has been one of President Trump's strongest advocates for the war with Iran. He has pushed for harder strikes in the Middle East and has proudly touted his closeness to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This has enraged the anti-war wing of the MAGA movement and sparked blowback from other Republicans. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who said she has been reassured there will be no American boots on the ground. Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. In Iran, emphasized in a post on the social platform X that Graham does not tell the president what to do, nor does he control Congress. So she says here, there are some in the Senate that advocate for war everywhere. Lindsey Graham is one of them. He does not tell the president what to do, nor does he control Congress. I've spoken with the administration a number of times, as well as other members of Congress over the last week or so, and nothing has changed regarding boots on the ground. No boots on the ground. If Senator Graham wants to go fight in a foreign conflict, let him be the first to volunteer. She must have heard some backlash from her constituents because if you remember, she was one of those who made an ass of herself when she went on, I think it was MSNBC, and talked about all the thousands of people that Iranians killed, and the host just asked, name some examples, and she became very indignant. Former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has been a fierce critic of the Iran war, posted on social media, "Please, South Carolina, send Lindsey Graham to the front lines instead of your precious children." Conservative commentator Meghan McCain also went after Graham, arguing he isn't in a position to make decisions about war. Nothing like a single childless septuagenarian telling American mothers to send their children to go possibly die in a war, she posted. There is the tweet that she fired off, up to almost 1 million views. Obviously, Lindsey Graham's sort of a second kind of father figure to her. We can assume, based on the friendship, his very close and, as far as we know, platonic friendship with John McCain. It's not a coincidence they're parading him around, knowing that Trump watches Fox News as much as he does. This is an example of that information bubble. Just send this guy to reinforce the idea that this is very popular and that he's Ronald Reagan plus, and that he should be with Israel till his dying day. This guy was able to go from a never Trump Republican in 2015 to really weasel his way into a position of obvious outsized influence within this Trump 2.0 team. This is part of how we got here. Trump really chose his side earlier than a lot of people realized. It's very telling that Trump went out of his way to endorse Lindsey Graham in March of last year. Why the fuck else would you do that unless you knew this was coming down the pike? That's why I'm saying this whole Trump thing was just a giant con. He obviously saw this coming while he was running. So all this talk about he's going to keep us out of war, bullshit. Bullshit. He knew this was coming. He knew this was coming. Why else would you stick your neck out for Lindsey Graham in March of 2025 when it's not even campaign season? Nobody's even thinking about this yet. And you solidify his place in the Senate. And now he's making these diplomatic trips back and forth to fucking Israel and then getting in your ear. This is really just another indication, and I think a very strong one, that the fix was in from jump. And from jump, I'm not just talking about the 2024 campaign. I'm talking about 2015. He didn't have Lindsey Graham on his side at the time, but that whole Nation report about how Israel was the one colluding with the Trump campaign to get him in. And what was step one? Nix the Iran deal. Step two, little something on a certain day that wasn't what a lot of people thought it was at the time, similar to a 9/11 attack here, just happened in Israel. Step three, well, this is step three. Here we are. Here we are. You're welcome, America. Good job.
Yeah, Max, actually, I thought about using this, but I couldn't really fit it in. Max just did an interview where he's really arguing that the Mossad and the FBI basically worked together to convince Trump that Iran was behind the assassination attempts, and that was kind of prepping him mentally for this.
I haven't seen that, but I mean, I believe it.
Yeah, and there's the clip now that some have interpreted as him trying to throw them under the bus, but you could also interpret where he's going, yeah, and Marco was telling me and Jared was telling me. I mean, that could just be the freaking truth. That is, that's who's talking to him. That basically you got this narcissistic dipshit surrounded by people on a mission with an agenda.
Oh, of course.
And they just tell him what they want to tell him, and he's completely incurious and doesn't actually know anything.
Well, who does that remind you
these
of?
Places.
Who does that remind you of? An empty-headed moron surrounded by warmongering, bloodthirsty wolves. Reminds you a lot of George Bush. George Bush was the exact way, just a ne'er-do-well black sheep of a fucking empty-headed, bimbo, surrounded by Wolfowitz and Rumsfeld and Cheney and Powell.
People had a very clear mission.
Yes, people who put their names to the mission. The Project for a New American Century, their cabinet was all over it. And much like George W. Bush, Trump is just that empty-headed non-entity who they can drag into it without him even realizing until it's too late.
I mean, the difference is George Bush did want war with Iraq. As revenge.
Well, there's a little bit of a family thing there, but he couldn't articulate really beyond that. I mean, what was he doing? Everybody knows Dick Cheney was running that White House.
Sure. I'm just saying Trump left to his own devices would probably never have done this. Where George Bush did want a premise for a war with Iraq.
Perhaps. Yeah. All right. I'll give you that. But he was still dragged into it in the same way that Trump was dragged into this, right? Not really knowing what the hell he was getting himself into. And certainly, obviously, as we know for a fact now.
Going to be over in 2 weeks.
Yeah, not knowing how he was going to get out. And that's that's another big similarity there. Neither of these two really understood at all what they were getting into when they signed off on it. They were just manipulated by very evil people. And this is why the whole avatar of Trump as this crusader, he's not. He doesn't believe in anything. And he doesn't want to believe in anything. He's just led around by people around him. And that's not an excuse. He's the president. Buck stops with him just like it stopped with George Bush. But there's obviously no one home. Yeah. All right. Let's you want to grab some of those super chats. Now, how do you want to handle this next piece? Do we want to start out with the Levitt quote and then just work back?
I handled it already.
Oh, you did it. Oh, okay, cool. All right, cool.
Yep.
All right, cool. Just take a few of those super chats and I'll copy these over.
All right, Pete Sweet. Easiest bet to win on Kalshi was closing of Strait of Hormuz. Did you put some money on that, man? make money. Duke to can't we assume that this is all done to purposefully crash the economy so the banksters can effect a wealth transfer again? That could be a bonus, but I think the religious motivation is really the motivation. We haven't had a chance to work up a piece on that. Maybe I could do that for Sunday.
Yeah,
because a lot of it is Jesus bait, Jesus baiting. Trying to, you know what would be even better than waiting for Jesus? Creating the circumstances that will bring him faster.
Right. Yeah.
K. Ron Arnold. Hey Russ, what VPN are you using while traveling? I'm using Surfshark right now. Some people told me it was Israeli. I researched it. It's Swiss. I didn't find any evidence of that, and I was specifically looking for that. However, I was told by somebody who was kind of a douchebag but pretty knowledgeable about China that that's not going to work there. And he gave me the name of one that would. So I'm going to get that. A lot of people who go to China have like 2 or 3 VPNs because one won't work, but the other one will. So so I'm going to add 1 or 2 more before I go.
Nice. Okay. All right. Siddhartha Vicious says, Russ, will you go to the Landmine Museum while in Cambodia? Check out the documentary Perfect Soldier about its founder on YouTube. Oh, there you go. A good recommendation.
Yeah. Well, there's are you talking about the play? There's a place in Cambodia where like they show you how to train the rats. Like they train rats to detect mines as part of the mine clearance. Yo, dude, it's here. When I went to Misan, the ruins, they tell you not to go off the paths because there's still unexploded ordnance. This is, you want to talk about cultural vandalism. You want to talk about crime against humanity. There were 73 of these ancient buildings. There are only a few ruins left because of American bombs. American bombs wiped out most of this complex going back to the 4th century. Wiped most of it out.
Wow. Let's see what we got here. Vianticus, China's been putting the squash on anime and manga also. I'm more inclined to believe China doing these other things is more tied to what Visa and MasterCard are doing rather than war. Is that? I think you ran out of characters. People who love war and riches tend to be the greatest glory comes from blind, destructive, and self-destructive obedience. Seen it all my life. People are fucking stupid. Megyn Kelly show, more like MK Ultra shit. Good one. Okay. Hate to be that guy, but his last name is actually pronounced Graham because he's all pig, a war pig. War Pigs by Sabbath should be his dedicated soundtrack. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jafari calling Lindsey a bloodthirsty worm is insulting to leeches. Eric Rousseau. So do we have a road warrior future? Lord Humongous will lead us. Yep. No, it's not too far off. All right. Let's move right on along. All right. Let's see how you worked this one up at the last minute.
I mean, I just threw it in at the end. Like what? Okay, so here's Tucker Carlson talking about the likelihood that we are going to get a false flag attack to build support for a war that nobody wants.
Yes, and often repeated observation about this conflict is totally true. Iran's threshold for victory is very low. It just needs to survive. The regime has to remain intact. Now, in order to change the regime, everyone pretty much agrees you would need ground forces. You'd need troops, boots on the ground, American boots on the ground, in order to do that. And there is zero appetite for that in this administration, much less in the country. Israel would like us to commit ground troops, obviously, but it would take a lot to get us to do that. It would take some sort of terror attack in the United States, probably like 9/11, in order for us to do that. But that hasn't happened yet. We pray it never happens. So at this point, we're not going to commit ground troops, which does sort of put the whole exercise in perspective. If Iran's burgeoning nuclear program was really a threat to our core national security interests, then of course we would commit ground troops, because any threat to our core national security interests merits committing ground troops. But this one didn't. And the people who decided this were told, or believed somehow, that we could effect regime change from the air, because Iran was in a pre-revolutionary stage, and all we needed to do was like topple the head figure, like dominoes cascading. That would set off a chain reaction that installed a pro-Western government in Tehran. That was the argument. These arguments always seem ludicrous. In retrospect, you always laugh at them. Really? Did you really think that? Well, apparently we really did. But almost 2 weeks in, that has not happened. By the way, that would be a great outcome, because it would end the war.
Yeah. So breaking is from ABC News, which, like every other major corporate news outlet, is overrun by former intelligence agents. The FBI has warned police departments in California that Iran wants to retaliate for American attacks by launching offensive drones against the West Coast, according to an alert received by ABC News. All right, so here's their report.
And drone attacks on our homeland. A new alert reviewed by ABC News revealing Iran's aspirations to conduct a surprise attack specifically against unspecified targets in California. The FBI saying it's warned police departments across the Golden State now of strikes by unmanned aerial vehicles or drones as tensions rise in the Middle East. Let's get straight to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Kontersky. Aaron, what are you learning?
We've reviewed an alert that came within the last couple of weeks, Kira, just recently from the FBI to law enforcement agencies up and down the California coastline, warning that Iran is aspiring now to perhaps launch some kind of a retaliatory attack on the U.S. mainland using drones on the West Coast. The alert that we reviewed said an uncorroborated report suggested that unidentified Mexican cartel leaders had authorized attacks using drones carrying explosives, so they know that capability exists. And this separate alert that we've reviewed, Kira, says that Iran has those same kinds of aspirations. So the U.S. has broadly known for some time that drones could be deployed against the homeland. We know that Iran has been using drones significantly in this 12-day-old war with the United States. That's what killed the first 6 U.S. service members in this war. But now the FBI is specifically warning police agencies in California along the Pacific coastline that Iran is aspiring to use them to attack in the West.
So why California? Why the West?
Good question. And that's not exactly clear, but perhaps there's thought that Iran has these things pre-positioned on ships that are still in international waters or that could float through international waters. We know that we've previously reported, Kira, on Iran's desire to perhaps activate sleeper cells in the United States, although that's certainly far from confirmed or far from anything operational.
But that's not going to stop me from reporting it.
It's not clear why the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast, but that's what the alert from the FBI says.
All right, Aaron Kontersky, we'll stay on top of it. Thank you so much.
I demand better propaganda. I'm insulted. I'm insulted that people were expected to take that news report seriously. It's such transparent manufacturing of consent. I don't know. I mean, I feel like, you know, and this is how it always is if you're politically active and conscious and aware. You're always a few years ahead of where the public is. I remember when I used to watch the news and think it was the news. And now it feels like the public is catching up. Like I'm watching that. I used to watch things like that and think, I can't believe people believe this. I don't feel like they do anymore. I feel like the spell has been broken. Very much as like a Donald Trump speech, right? Like I can't imagine who watched that who's like under 83. Who took it seriously as a news report. So Trump was asked about this. Here's what he had to say.
Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all
I don't
of them,
know
but
about
the war
that.
itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah. It's being prosecuted at a level nobody's seen before. Nobody thought that we would do Vietnam Part 2. But I thought it was a good idea. I like those Rambo movies. I'm gonna send Sylvester over there. Max Blumenthal, from the same FBI that falsely told Donald Trump the IRGC had teams of assassins on U.S. soil with rocket launchers, prompting him to take decoy flights during his 2024 campaign. This is another Bureau psyop. This time, it's to frighten the U.S. public into supporting an evil war for Israel. Comrade Misty, false flag incoming, be ready. Greg Stoker, note to future self. Iran didn't say they are going to attack California. The FBI did. Retro Coast, to find out what American city the Mossad FBI false flag will occur in, look at who is leaving. Key people will be quietly warned. Assets will quietly move. Companies will relocate. Which city has a stealth exodus indicating the Mossad FBI is planning to attack it? Hashtag war. Well, Uncommon Sense had a tweet that kind of answered this. Who just moved out of California recently? Peter Thiel, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Larry Ellison, David Sachs, Mark Zuckerberg, Carl Icahn. Nice timing. Now, to be fair, it seems Howard Schultz has just fled because of the impending millionaires tax or billionaires tax.
Well, yeah, I mean, rich people have been fleeing California for a while because of that, because they're afraid they're going to get taxed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's this new wealth
new
tax
thing. Yeah, that they're going to
that they're trying to avoid. Now, if you're really brainwashed, when you see these billionaires flee California, you're going to say, see what happened when you impose the taxes, instead of saying, well, why don't we put them in jail? You see, that's what your response to that should be. Why don't we put them in jail? Like, why don't we jail them for tax evasion if they do that? Why do we let these people get away with that? But that's for another segment. So Stu Peters here, U.S. oil tanker ablaze in territorial waters just past the Strait of Hormuz. The big false flag is coming together, and you'll soon see iconic images of U.S. flagged carriers and battleships on fire and sinking. Generational psyop to make war eternal. And hey, that's interesting timing from the AFL-CIA local. That's cute. 4 drones stolen from Fort Campbell. Army offers $5,000 reward. But here's Jennifer Jacobs. Multiple U.S. and state law enforcement and intel officials told CBS News. It's kind of amazing. That's the big story here that CBS News reported this. There is no credible intelligence underpinning the bulletin distributed on the unverified possibility that Iran could retaliate for American attacks by launching drones at the West Coast. This is not actionable, a California-based federal law enforcement official told CBS. All this means is we got this information and we want to get it out to law enforcement executives to make sure they're up to speed on it, another California law enforcement official said. There is absolutely nothing more to it. The bulletin to local law enforcement by the FBI's Los Angeles division stemmed from an apparent tip that surfaced prior to the Iranian conflict. Max Blumenthal, no credible intelligence to support the bonkers DHS bulletin claiming Iran was planning to attack Gavin Newsom's state with drones. PSYOP confirmed. Power to the people. Iran is not planning an attack on California. Their drones can't even reach the West Coast. The CIA Mossad is planning one to manufacture consent for an unpopular war. That's how false flags work. And if you think it's all some silly conspiracy theory, it's because you are the mark. And so finally, this was breaking as we were on the air. Carolyn Levitt put this out. This post and story should be immediately retracted by ABC News for providing false information to intentionally alarm the American people. They wrote this based on one email that was sent to local law enforcement in California about a single unverified tip. The email even states the tip was based on unverified intelligence, yet ABC News left out this critical fact in their story. Why? To be clear, no such threat from Iran to our homeland exists, and it never did. Okay, so what in the words of our president, what the hell is going on?
What is going on?
What the hell is going on? So was this a planted story from the FBI to prepare the ground for a false flag attack, which still might be the case? They see that almost universally, immediately, there was just this huge cry of false flag. Did they back down? Or is this like an unscrupulous news station trying to get a scoop with a very flimsy story? Was this ABC trying to get clickbait? It's hard to say. I mean, we've certainly seen false flags coming out of Mossad and Mossad-aligned organizations of anti-Semitism. We saw a few months ago in Brooklyn where a guy, who was clearly Orthodox or Hasidic spray painting anti-Semitic graffiti was caught on a security camera and then bicycling away. So we're definitely getting those kinds of false flags in order to gin up outrage about anti-Semitism. Not that that's working very well, or to find some justification for the claims of victimhood. But on the scale being contemplated here, we haven't seen it. I'm kind of expecting, I'm not alone, a legit false flag attack. So that's why you look at this and you say, was this the trial balloon to see if people will buy it? And when they saw they wouldn't buy it, no, that should ABC, very naughty, you shouldn't have. Or is that even to make it more plausible when the real false flag comes? No, see, they knocked down those claims that Iran was going to attack. Who knows? Who knows? With a system this corrupt, when you're dealing with the Epstein class, it's very difficult to say, this particular thing was an out-of-control news organization or it was a trial balloon. But I will say this. I and many others expect a false flag. I'd be surprised if they don't pull one. Now, do they stay minor incidents or do you get something really major? I don't know, man. The United States is really losing this war, and they keep going with the sunk cost fallacy and refusing to put an end to it and just keep getting in deeper and deeper. And you're starting with God, man, I don't know any war in American history that started with support that low. I don't think it's happened in the modern history of polling, where you started with the majority of the public against a war like that. Usually there's that war fever when the war first starts. You're not even getting that. So in their desperation, do they do a false flag? Probably. I'll be surprised not to see that happen. With this particular thing, hard to say what it was.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, you could always go back and forth with it's the whole double psyche
Right.
conundrum, right? Is it an odd number or is it an even number, right? Are you psyching me or do you want me to think you're psyching me, right? Odd number means one, even number means something else. So there's just no way of knowing. Both are sort of equally effective. That's the thing.
Right.
Whether it's a psych or a double psych, they both have the same impact. And part of the psyop of that is they get you torturing yourself over which one it is. Right. It doesn't matter which one it is. If they're manipulating you, that's the point, right? The direction is almost irrelevant or secondarily relevant to the main point, which is that, you're seeing the writing you're seeing the cave painting on the wall. So yeah, you can drive yourself crazy with that all day, every day. Won't bring you any closer to what's meaningfully true. The FBI is saying it's warned people. Okay, so you sent out warnings based on uncorroborated tips. Okay, assuming you really did that, it meant you felt there was something significant enough to warn local law enforcement about. Now, whether that was constructed or not, again, you're going into that double psyche question.
Right.
Now, the fact that the media ran with it, that's kind of where it separates off into a different question. Did we want this to get out, or were we, just, coordinating with local law enforcement, priming them for something? Ultimately, you don't really know. But what I can tell, what we can glean from this, and what I can say, is that just as the Manson murders were kind of the end of the 60s, 9/11 was really the end of the 90s. They were both, in my opinion, deep state ops, and they both caught a public sleeping. The reason they worked is because the public wasn't ready for it, right? It was the summer of love until the Manson murders, and then it was right here, right now until 9/11. The public is ready for it now. The public sees it coming now. That's why the word on X last night was false flag alert, right? Because no one believes you when as soon as this comes out, people's spidey senses go off. And which could be, to your point, very, very plausible, could be why now Levitt says, whoa, never mind, that shouldn't have come out, right? Because, oh shit, they're on to us, we got to regroup. That's totally possible. It's possible that the media ran with a story for clickbait. Both things could be true, right?
Sure.
You simply don't know. But what we do know is that the public is against this war, and that a huge percentage of the public, whether it's a majority or not, may depend on the type of event that happens, if it happens, and we hope, knock on wood, of course, that it doesn't. But you're going to have a huge swath of the public who is immediately suspicious of anything like a 9/11 or even a smaller scale event happens, to Tucker's point, because people like Tucker Carlson are in the media saying to expect it. You didn't have that. In 1999, 2000, you didn't. 9/11 came out of nowhere. It was the impetus.
Got
for
Alex
everything,
Jones,
right? Yeah, Alex Jones, right? That's all you had. So it's a completely different situation now. It's a completely different situation now, and this is where there is hope in the sense that they have lost the ability to psyop the public like that. It takes something, and this is where it could be scary. It takes something really major to just scare everyone into submission. In other words, you have no choice but to believe us, even if you don't believe us. And if you want a recent example of that, go back to March of 2020, when we were all locked in our houses. Okay, you are going to do what the doctor on the TV tells you. You don't have to think it makes sense. Doesn't matter if it makes sense. The point is, you don't know whether it's safe to breathe the air in your supermarket or not, which means you got to trust us. And if you don't trust us, too fucking bad, right? You're either going to believe us or you're going to pretend that you believe us. But you're going to do what we say either way. That's the scary thing that makes me think it's going to take something really big. And obviously, we hope to God that doesn't happen. But I think there is a level of public awareness that is unprecedented.
Yes.
Because of what this country
Certainly
has
in my
been put
lifetime.
through since 9/11. Since 9/11 through COVID, through everything. All right. Let me do a you got some super chats there. All right, I'm going to put the scroll up because we got one more segment. We have a funny one we're going to end on, folks. We're going to end on another funny one for you, so stick around. Stick around before we go. We're going to leave you with a laugh heading into your weekend.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
P. Walker, ordering kids to war was my father's job, not yours, Lindsey. Megan McCain. Nathan Pop. These people who profess to believe in God's divine plan are actively trying to alter his plan to make the part they are obsessed about happen sooner. That is very well put. Yes, that's exactly what's going on with these freaks. Brad Gilbert, we know who they are because they are uniparty Israelis. Yep. Race car. I wonder if AI will ever be able to crack a legitimately funny joke. Hey, man, it was still pretty early. They did that George Carlin. Some of those jokes are pretty funny. That his daughter was mad about that.
That's right. So, hey, folks, if you like what we do and you want to help us do more of it, membership links are up on the screen. DoDissidents.com/Patreon//Substack. Or /locals. You get your name up in lights here on the show scroll. You also get call-in access to our weekly Q&As. Once again, Sunday we will be doing Q&A, but it's going to be an early one. We're on at 10 a.m. this Sunday, 10 a.m. on the East Coast. So maybe we'll get a No George update on Sunday, since it'll be prime time for him to perhaps call in. So, yes, $5 a month. Those are the links up on the screen. You also get access to our monthly film club, which we're partnering with Right Brain TV. So that's going to be coming up later this month for Volume 2 of the Film Club series. And you also get post-game access. We do one bonus extended stream per month for the members, and ad-free replays of every show posted the day after they air in public. So if you miss it, you can watch it back free of commercial interruption, just as if you're watching it live. All right. EO Shush says, watching MAGA cope, Daddy promised to take us to Disneyland, but Lindsey Graham, Nutlick, and Kushner tricked Daddy, the super stable genius. Thank you, EO Shush. Wolf Blitzer, what about the jobs? Eric Rousseau, Jesus bait. Is that what the evangelicals are calling jerking off now? Good one. Hardly Daylight. Trump knew exactly what he was getting into. He knew what those millions he got were for. Stop trying to give Trump a free pass. Yeah, no, that's what we're doing. That's a perfectly fair interpretation of our last year and a half of coverage, that we're giving Trump a free pass of ignorance or stupidity. He's a simple con man. He's both. He's a con man. That's what we said. We said he was there to do Israel's bidding. He lied to everybody so that he could do that. But I do think he's naive in that he did not anticipate the consequences of this. I don't think he thought it would be this hard to get out of it, as evidenced by the fact that he's already tried to get out of it, and he can't. Siddhartha Vicious, Lord Humongous, Immortan Joe 2028, just walk away, America. Good one. Profanosaurus Rex, I remember after 9/11, we were told bin Laden aspired to attack America. Do you remember that, Russ? Same wording once again. You mean Saddam, not bin Laden. You're talking about Saddam Hussein, that he aspired to. The line was after 9/11 that bin Laden had attacked America. Yeah, it was that Hussein wanted to, yeah. Albukid, notice all the breadcrumbs. U.S. chips found in Russian weapons. U.S. has reverse-engineered Iranian drones. Iranian ISIS-inspired sleeper cells ready to remotely drive a car or drone into L.A. Eric Rousseau, damn, they didn't buy the Iranian attack on California. Better shelve that upcoming alien invasion. There you go. And EO Shush, remember all those unidentified drones that were being spotted everywhere in 2024, and some stories saying they could be Iranian drones. Yeah, I remember those. All right, we got one more for you, folks. This is a fun one.
Okay, man. I think this is going to be a real challenge for some friends of ours, like China Shill. I don't know if China Shill is watching.
We haven't seen China Shill in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen China Shill in a while. I don't think I've said anything to upset him lately.
You're more of a China Shill than you've ever been. and yet he's not here for it. What the hell happened?
He hasn't. He's not here. He's missing it. All right. So this was Donald Trump, who gathered religious leaders at the White House to pray together for victory against Iran.
Your presence today, lifting up the arms of our president. We pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest upon him. We pray for wisdom from heaven to flood his heart, his mind, and Lord, you will guide him in these challenging times that we're facing today. I pray for your grace and your protection over him. I pray for your grace and protection over our troops and all of our men and women serving in our armed forces. And Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president the strength that he needs to lead our great nation as we come back to one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray your heavenly blessing upon him in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay. All right. Well, that is quite a testament to the power of prayer. And you know who's picked up on it? You know who's picked up on it? Those godless communists. Those supposedly godless communists. They have been inspired by our president and his roster of faith leaders there. And they've been getting together and having recreations of that moment. They've heard the word of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Hey, you know, some people don't like it. As the poster here says, the Chinese quickly stole this new technology from the United States. Many Chinese companies have illegally used this ceremony, and that's very typical, man. That's very typical. They reverse engineer our technology. Now they're reverse engineering our faith, right? Because they know it works. They know it works. So here they are.
Give our president.
Yeah, you know, they're just stealing it, man. They're just stealing it.
Our great nation. We pray for your continued blessing and favor.
Yeah, they are actually praying for higher sales there. Chinese boss leads his team to pray for huge sales. Yeah, and hey, the ladies are getting in on the action too.
There you go.
Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president.
Whoops, that was the wrong one. But yeah, okay, so what is going on here? And then this poor guy. Our company consists of only the boss and me. How can we take such energetic photos? So he's screwed. He's screwed. He can't do the ritual to increase the sales for the company. But here's what's really happening here. ODAC TV, a prayer scene from the White House in China has turned into a viral social media trend. Owners of small businesses and factories are gathering their employees to poke fun at this event. The workers form a circle and pray with the wish for better sales, higher income for every employee and the entire company. Videos of these prayer circles are spreading rapidly on Douyin and Weibo. You know, Donald Trump promised we'd be respected like we used to be. I feel respected, don't you? Don't you? Wow, boy. We're not like a laughing stock around the world or anything with our batshit president and his crazy coterie of religious crackpots and grifters in the Oval Office praying for victory in a war against Iran. And you know what's really ironic about this? A big part of our argument against countries like Iran is that they're theocracies. You got a president surrounding himself not even with like legitimate faith leaders, with like, you know, mega church grifters and doing prayers to triumph in a war where the opening salvo killed a school full of girls, praying for righteous victory. Yeah, man, we're a joke. We're a joke. We're the freak show of the world. And the Chinese, you know what? They've demonstrated quite a lot over the last few years. They have a very good sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a Somalian and Chinese production company collaborate on a comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm surprised the Somalis haven't gotten in on this. You know, you would think.
Yeah.
They're
This is their kind of thing. They like
this
that
is,
kind of thing.
This is their thing. This is right up their alley. Yeah, well, you know, I mean, what you have here, I mean, you talk about, you know, two competing ideologies on the world stage. You have, you know, one power led by a very serious person, whether you like him, don't like him. Obviously, President Xi Jinping's a very, very serious person. And then on the other hand, over here, you just have an absolute clown show. So talk about grist for the mill, right? Talk about fodder for comedy. I mean, it's a golden opportunity. I mean, you know, Trump really just makes a mockery out of the capitalist system. So it's, I mean, talk about a fastball right down the middle for China.
Yeah.
Easy material, easy win for sure.
I'm gonna when I go there, I'm gonna set that up with my tour group.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that would be funny.
That'll be the first video I sent you. My first dispatch from China.
Your first dispatch. Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's take some more super chats before we close the lights here. Thanks everybody very much for being here, of course, today. Appreciate you all as always. All right. You got some super chats over there?
Yep. Satanica, I'm behind on the stream, but if you haven't, you should cover the UNSC sham resolution vote from yesterday. Disturbing stuff. Oh, yeah, the Security Council. A lot of people are mad that China and Russia. It was like a UN Security Council thing condemning Iran.
Oh, yeah? I didn't even catch that. That's how you know a lot of news coming at us. What happened to Russell? Did Russell freeze? I think Russell froze. Now let's see if he comes back. Do I have anything here? No, I'm all out of Rumble rants. There you go.
All
Russell,
right.
are you there?
Yeah.
You're freezing again. Well, it's good timing because the show's over. So if there's a time to freeze, now's the time. Cuba,
okay.
You there? Good?
Yeah. Now I'm back. All right. Cubist cosmonaut. They are going to end Iran 100%. You think
Iran?
nuke? Well, you know, Professor Zhang doesn't think that. He thinks they're going to put boots on the ground, but he doesn't think they're going to nuke them. So hopefully that cat is right. Savmad, I am a childless cat lady, and I find calling Lindsay that an offense to childless cat ladies. We care about our country for the safety of our cats. He is a deranged in the closet garden gnome. Yeah. Hey, man, I'm there with you. One of the things that is kind of a downside to traveling around so much is that I can't have a cat. And I really like cats. I really like having a cat, but I can't do it right now. Interrobang 5000, there ain't no good guy. There ain't no bad guy. Miguel MX, can you please read this out loud?
Yeah.
Hamanda Aka, is this like the charm of making an Excalibur, or
Yeah,
or the
right.
book-
Yeah, exactly.
or is this like the Book of the Dead curse in the Evil Dead series? Adaraka Teda Vaka Sanda Aka Ambo. Oh, I feel like I'm going to end up raising the dead if I finish this.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Osa
never know.
Kata Right Iki Apanda Ada Riki Tiri Ashata. All right, you got your money's worth, buddy.
Yeah.
There's your $50.
not even $50. It's $50 in some.
Oh, it's
some
was
foreign
that in
currency.
Micronesia?
Yeah, it's like $5 or something. Bastard.
Oh, bastard! You got a prayer bell for nothing.
For nothing.
Nothing.
Hardly daylight. The U.S. and Western establishment is the freak show of the world. I have sympathy for your average U.S. Western citizen who's been duped by blatant propaganda.
Seriously.
Yeah. Indeed. All right, everybody. Well, that's our show. We thank you very, very much for being here today. Appreciate you all. Thanks to the YouTubers. Thanks to the Rumblers. Thanks to the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. I'm going to do a little raid on our friends at the Homeless Left in just a minute for our Rumblers. Yep, we got one more coming in. Big one at the last minute.
Big one. Who is this? Why are my eyes so bad tonight? Randy Rea. This weekend, Children No More Were and Are Gone is nominated for Best Documentary Short Film at the Oscars about Israeli police activists in Tel Aviv holding silent vigils for children killed in Gaza and the public backlash they received. Think it'll win? First of all, thank you very much.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Thank you, man. It's an interesting question because, look at what is it?
No Other Land.
Look at No Other Land, man.
Yeah,
like it seems like this is what I've been saying. How many people in the arts are not pro-Palestine? They're afraid to say it.
Right.
I think that's very revealing that on a secret ballot that won.
Yeah.
So I think it
Voice
has
of Henry
a
Job will
good
win, too.
chance.
Yeah, I think it will probably. I think Voice of Henry Job will probably win the foreign film too for that reason. On a secret ballot, I think it'll win, which will be great. So yeah, hopefully. I think we got one more in.
Oh, did we? Oh yeah, we got two more in.
Two more in.
Oh no, one more. I didn't take that one down. JD Santos, just wanted to say love you both. You are my therapy in these times. Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. Well, that is our show, everybody. Thank you all very much for being here. Appreciate you all, the YouTubers, the Rumblers, the mods, for keeping the peace in the chat. We will see you all. I see you over there, Miguel. It was a literal transcript of Paula White's invoking. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, speaking in tongues. He's speaking in tongues. That's what he's going for there.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. We're going to see you back here at 10 a.m. on Sunday. 10 a.m. once again. If you're afraid you'll forget, sign up for our Substack. It's free. It's free. Substack is
Jesus.
free. Substack. Got another
Everyone's
one.
coming in at the bell. Kuznetsky Bassane, peace on earth. Amen, brother. Amen.
Earth. Amen. Of course. All right, everybody. Thanks very much once again. We'll see you 10 a.m. this Sunday. Until then, thanks very much for being with us today. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.